Go.
You ready? All right, Jeremy. We're about to start.
You ain't got to wait for him to beat that guy.
I don't get them. I don't get them. Yes, sir. And you know, I read it over.
All right.
I want to hear it all out. I'm not ready to make a decision yet.
Are we ready?
Yep.
Hold on 1 minute.
Okay.
All righty. Good evening and welcome to the Bay St. Louis Planning and Zoning meeting. Today is March the 11th, 2026. We ask you please to silence all cell phones and electronics at this time, please. Jeremy, those two little spots right there, if somebody desperately needs it, can they sit over there?
Yeah, just a few more chairs. Y'all can move them or you can come sit next to me, whichever you like.
So I do want to make a note. So this is a public hearing. So if anybody has any comments, concerns, favors, oppositions, this is the time to speak. When it gets passed along to council, you will not be able to share any other comments. So if you haven't signed up to speak, you can sign up outside right now, and we will open up the floor for those people. All right, we're going to move into a small prayer and then a pledge allegiance. Right. So please bow your heads. Dear Lord, let us take a moment to seek wisdom, clarity, and fairness as we begin this meeting. May our decisions be thoughtful, our discussions respectful, and our actions guided by what is best for the city of Bay St. Louis and its residents. Amen. Going to move to the pledge. Our pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right.
All right, so we have a quorum tonight. And as Ms. Brown said, this is the public hearing part of it. All of these will be referred with a recommendation of approve or deny to the Bay St. Louis City Council meeting, which is going to be next Tuesday on the 17th at 5:30. But this is the public hearing, so the documents that are submitted and all comments made are going to be noted for them. But just y'all's first one is motion to approve the minutes for February 11th, 2026. That's just y'all's first.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Fix it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion is approved.
Okay, so we have a full house tonight, but the first one, and then the other thing, so for record speaking, only the people that are at the podium, please speak, just because sometimes there's background noise, and we had the sign-up sheet, but if you still want to be called on, even though you didn't sign up, that's fine. Just raise your hand, and the chairman can acknowledge you, but try to keep the chatter so it's easier here for the record. And then, just in general speaking, I'm sure it's not going to happen, but it had happened in the past before. Please no talking from the crowd, cheers, boos, whatever else. Just a normal meeting, guys. All right, first one, Pineville Mental Health Resource application for a special exception to the zoning ordinance submitted by Pineville Mental Health Resources. The application is requesting a special exception to operate adult daycare within an R1 single-family zoning district. The property is located at 789 Dunbar Avenue. Zoning district is R1 single-family. So, the applicant is currently asking for the use for it. And per our zoning ordinance, adult daycares, such as is what this type of business would be called, are allowed to operate in R1 single-family districts. But It's not allowed by right. It's allowed by special exception. So they would need to get approval from, well, planning and zoning, but city council would have to approve the special exception. But for our administrative letter, the administration recommends to deny the special exception. And I'm sure we all have a lot of letters in y'all's packet of neighbors in the immediate surrounding area that do not support it. One of the other issues with it is it's an R1 district, but it's also a densely populated R1 district where it's on a lot that is a quarter acre. It's in a neighborhood. Established neighborhoods. So the administration's concern was, the uncertainty of, what, though it's allowed possibly by right, we just don't think there's enough room to operate an adult daycare plus other businesses, but of this nature. So administrative recommendation was to deny it. But I don't know if who from the applicant was here.
Okay. Can you step up, please? State your name and your address or your affiliate organization, please.
Nicholas Hartley, 94 Beverly Loop South, Purvis, and here representing Pine Bluff Mental Health.
Okay.
This facility was previously used as a residential facility for individuals with intellectual disabilities about 5 years ago. It's been turned over to the county, so Harrison County is now in possession of the building. And what we're proposing to do is do a day program for individuals with intellectual disability. So about 20 individuals. It would be in operation from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. No after hours use, no weekend use, no appreciable change to the facility itself. So it's, I don't think it really is going to hinder the neighborhood any. We were not aware of any objections from the community. We talked to some of the neighbors who were just adjacent to the property, and there's also directly across the street, there's a assisted living facility. So this property faces the street, and I think, I'm not sure if people understood that this is for intellectual disabilities, think Special Olympics, things like that. These are adults, and we try to, help them out with, having a good life and doing some meaningful things in life, engaging them in the community.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do have a few questions. So how many clients are you expecting to serve at this facility?
About 12 at first. Could be upwards of maybe 20. Our centers operate as a hub. We just opened one in Harrison County. That's very large. You might have seen that on WLOX. Beautiful facility.
And
Also owned by Harrison County.
so will there be vans? Are y'all?
There should be a single vehicle there for transportation.
Okay. And so why this location compared to like a regular commercial? Like why in a residential area? Just for curiosity.
Again, it was owned by Region 13 Mental Health Center previously for the past, I think, 20 or so years. When Region 13 went under and Pine Bluff Mental Health came in to take over services in the area for mental health, the building sort of stayed in limbo for a few years, and Region 13 just turned it over to Harrison County. And Harrison County has already laid forth the infrastructure to renovate the building and get it ready for use. This would be the first time there would be services for folks with intellectual disabilities that actually exist in Hancock County. We take individuals from Hancock County now and bring them into Harrison County for services, so it's quite a drop for those guys on a daily basis.
I'm going to open the floor to the commission, see if they have a few questions for you, and then we're going to let our audience speak. Did anybody want to ask any questions from the commission?
I don't have any at this time.
I have a few just service brochures. I mean, this is not.
Okay,
Anybody
give me
wants
1
to-
minute though. Are you good, John?
Yes,
Or
thank you.
Mr. Ross? Okay. You can hand the brochures to Jeremy or Caitlin.
Would you give it to, if you want to speak in then, but would you give it to Miss Bourgeois over there
Right there.
to add it to the record.
And then, I'm gonna let you have a seat, and then I'm gonna open the floor up for the audience.
Well, hey, do you want me to get you your letters of?
I think I have them. Yeah, I have them.
Okay,
Right
I didn't know
here.
if you want to.
Let me see. How many do we have?
Well, we have two per se, but two of them actually is times 16. So they have the one from John Willis at 206 Old Bay Lane. And his was, I'm extremely opposed to this project moving forward. I live around the corner and remember when bad men used to frequently try to walk and talk to my young children when it was previously in operation. It brings down the area where we walk our pets. Why mental health facilities are important, do not drop one in the heart of a family-oriented area next to a school. We do not want this again in a nice, safe residential neighborhood. Please do not allow this. Our Property Owners Association is against this as well. John Willis, 106 Old Bay Lane. And then,
So then I'm also seeing there's like a standard letter that multiple people.
yes, then they have,
Okay. So can you read that and just kind of say the names?
or the
Letter
the addresses. So
Yeah.
I'm writing expressing my concerns regarding the proposed special exception submitted by Pineville Mental Health. The applicant is requesting a special exception to adult daycare in R1 single family district at 789 Dunbar Avenue. While I fully support access to mental health services and recognize the importance of providing the care and resources within our community, I believe the specific location of this facility raises several concerns related within the neighborhood compatible in residential impact. Placing such a facility immediately next to homes raises concern about privacy, property values, overall well-being of families living in close proximity. Residential neighborhoods should remain where homeowners feel secure, comfortable, and protected from incompatible land use. I respectfully urge the board to consider this serious and lasting impact of the decision it will have on families who live in the area and to deny approval for this location. I strongly encourage consideration of alternate sites in the area properly zoned and equipped in such a facility without negatively affecting established residential neighborhoods. I ask that you protect the integrity of our community, uphold the intent of residential zoning, and prioritize the well-being of families who call this neighborhood home. So this is from Shirley Edwards, which is 507 Commercier, Crosby at 504 Commercier Boulevard, Kendrick, which is 543 Commercier Boulevard, or Commercier Boulevard, sorry. Murphy, which is 519. Let's see, Stinson, which is 516. Farrelly, which is 537. Hill, Amy Hill, which is 530. Eddie Miller, which is 508. Joe, something F, 531. Hansel, which is 6. 529, 536, 544, 541, 540, and then 504. So they pretty much the whole street that this is the corner of, though it's the corner of those two streets, wrote letters, the same letter of opposition. So that's
Okay, and then, is this one? Yeah, same thing. Okay, so we have a few people who signed up. I am so bad with last names. Debbie,
Delkeys.
yes. Delkeys. Say your name again.
Debbie Delphi.
Del Cuse.
Oh.
Say your address and tell us whatever you need to tell us.
Debbie Delcuse, reside at 504 Commercial Boulevard. My property is adjacent to the 789 Dunbar. Our backyards meet together, and we were there during the facility prior, before they left. We were there for several years. At that time, we purchased our home. We had no problem with it at then. We had some, questionable thoughts about it, but we went ahead and purchased the home. We lived there. We had several issues with that. One thing was privacy. I mean, we'd be in our backyard. We spend a lot of time on our porch in our backyard. I have a small pool, sunbathe, do whatever. And there was many times that they would peek through the fence, say, "Hey, lady, hey, puppy dog," talking to us through the fence. I understand neighbors saying hello, how you doing, whatever, wave, but that was pretty creepy. They say they don't leave the facility. They used to leave the facility. They walked to the store. They rode bikes. So they were able to get out, do different things at times. Also, there was problems with cough medicine bottles being thrown over the fence. And what we all know what that is. It's a substance abuse, severely mental illness, so they're trying to get their hands on anything they can get their hands on. So it was just different issues that we had with things over the fence, peeking through the fence, walking to the store. They roam the neighborhoods. So that's where I think we all had a concern as, them going down the street and doing these, looking through the fence and really just thinking about being next to, basically our whole backyard backs up to the facility. So they're on Dunbar and ours is here, so our whole backyard, the entire backyard is facing them. It's in a school zone. We have a school bus that drops off all ages, right there on the corner, which is basically in their front yard. Harry Street, which runs along the whole side of the property and the back of the property, every morning from daylight to dawn, to the night. There's kids riding their bikes, people walking their dogs, they up and down the block. So we really opposed to this being put back there. It was there before. As you can see, we all talked as the whole block, and we all talked about it, and we all feel like, except for, I think there was just an exception of a couple of homes, 2 Vacation by Rentals, and 2 other homes that we put in contact, but everybody feels the same about this coming back to this. It's not something new to us. It's something that was there before that we had issues with, and we just feel that they could find a different location for it rather than being in a residential area.
Alrighty, thank you. Tim Delcuse? You just signed up? Okay. All right. Nicholas Hartley. Oh, it's you.
Oh, yeah, no.
Okay, give me a minute. Becky, how do you pronounce your last name? Rotondo. Rotondo.
Becky Rotundo, Rotundo. I'm 529 Commercial, and I want to just agree with Debbie here that the previous time that we had people there, they did roam the streets all hours. And I know this is a daycare, but we have an issue with that. We have an issue with the bus dropping off children there. It is right across the street, within 30 feet of a home with small children. It's just, and why does Harrison County own this when it's Hancock County building? Okay, yeah, I was wondering about that.
Okay.
So it doesn't need to be here. We had issues with them before, and I understand they're arriving. Everybody's arriving by van.
Well, we'll figure that out, but you can't
Okay.
ask him questions.
Okay.
Just speak to us.
Well, all right. We want to know how everybody's arriving because if they're different cars, if they come in by van, and they leave by van altogether. But it's not the neighborhood for this. So that's it.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Annie Edwards.
Thank you. I'm Ann Edwards, and I actually work for the court system. And I know there's a need to have facilities, whether it's for people that need help or people that are in recovery. But this neighborhood, we're a tight neighborhood. We're close to each other. Actually, if you went down our neighborhood, one side has a fence that you can't get over, so you can't get into Old Bay Lane. And then on the other side, we all have a fence, so we can't go into the school area or the football area. So when these people roam, they're coming down, and if they're spooked, they're going in our yards, and if they can't jump the fence, we have the problem. There's too many young kids in that neighborhood on Old Bay Lane, the first two houses. That's all it is young kids across the street. Next to the Dunbar Village is young children. I fear for them. And I agree with what my neighbors have said. And I don't feel it's the proper place to put this type of facility. And I'm asking you not to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Josh McGee. Okay, no worries. Alrighty. Mr. Hartley, would you like to come back? Oh, 1 minute, hold on. Yes, go ahead. State your name and your address for us once you get to the podium.
Hi, Brian Milner, Milner. I'm at 733 Dunbar Avenue, which is catty corner from this facility. And we've been there for 25, almost 28 years. We're not sure how the first one got in there, but we've had a lot of experience with the residents that were in there. We've got 10 grandkids that come visit us regularly, some of which are now starting to ride their bikes throughout the neighborhood. And I don't want the same thing to happen as it did before. Again, I don't know how it got voted in the first time, but my wife and I vehemently hope this does not go through, because it's going to affect an R1 area. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Did anyone else want to make any more comments or concerns? Okay, Mr. Hartley? So do you want to address the one question that was asked about the vans, and just directly to us, not the
No,
audience?
I just would like to apologize to the folks who were here. I was told that there was no opposition to it, so we would have come and talked to the neighborhood group ahead of time and done a little bit of legwork. We've actually never had opposition to a day program before. And I do understand, because when Region 13 was operating that facility, that was a mental health facility, and it was residential. So you had people with mental health issues who were staying there 24/7. So I do get it. I do understand that. And I had heard, we acquired this property after Region 13 was gone. So I did hear that there were issues with that property before. So had I known that, I would have spent a little more time talking to the residents. But so again, this is folks with Down syndrome. We don't have any issues. I've never had an issue with any other facility we've operated. We're the largest intellectual disability services provider in the state. We have over 300 people in services in 12 counties. The facility in Harrison County, which is the only reason I mention it, is your neighbors. Y'all are familiar with the guys. There's about 50 individuals who go to that facility. It's a much larger facility. It is also in sort of a semi-residential area. Any other, if you have specific things that we want to address?
I personally don't have any other questions. I am going to ask if anybody from the...
I actually do. What's the ratio? If you have 20 patients there for the day, what kind of staff do you have?
It's a one staff for every 4 individuals. Okay. So it's a high level of staff. I mean, a lot of our individuals need help with eating and things like that. And again, these are Hancock residents. These would be people who live in Hancock County, who are currently your neighbors now. So they don't live in facilities or institutions. They live in their home, and they come to the program during the day to give them some meaningful activities to do. And so the centers kind of serve as a hub. We engage in the county. So we have a van because we take them places and go and do things and engage in the community like everyone else. And again, we've never really, I understand now. had I realized what was going on, I would have spent a little bit more time with the community. Because we've never had any pushback for this kind of a facility. It's you know, huge, Hancock County's huge sponsors of Special Olympics, so this is all the same folks.
The other question that wasn't addressed was, do they all arrive in the same van and leave in the same van, or is it,
CTA does a lot of our transportation, so they arrive and get dropped.
but no private transport? Like,
We have our own van to, you know, go places during the day, but, you know, other than that. So,
Okay. Alrighty, well, I think we should bring it to a vote.
I'll make a motion to deny.
second.
Alright, a motion to deny, all in favor?
Aye.
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 What are we, 4 to 6? Well, all,
Yeah,
What
it's
is it?
So recommend deny the special variance.
Yeah.
The city council make final decision on Tuesday,
on March 17th, 5:30.
All right. So
Hold on, go to the podium. Oh, go to the podium.
I had understood originally, when this was first brought up to me, that the neighborhood would be contacted by mail about this meeting, about the variance when we were having this meeting.
And how
From
were
a
they
county
contacted?
official, okay, I won't say who, but, the sign that you guys posted in the yard is 18 inches off the ground, and it is half the size of this on a piece of board this big, that if you didn't know what you were looking at, you wouldn't know it was there.
Okay,
So it was not in a prominent, easily displayed, visible place that you could read it. It was kind of put there so we could kind of skim past it. So it was,
okay.
thank you.
What's the rule, Jeremy?
Right.
300 feet?
yeah, about saying just in general, just we're have to move to the next one, but most of the time variances, special exceptions, it's 300 feet from the property. You get the card, the address we use are using from the tax record rolls. We put, most importantly, we go put in the public notices in the local publication, Seco Seco.
So are they supposed to receive a mailer?
If you're in 300 feet, we go mail them out, and then they also posting. We do post it on the site, but you're concerned with the size of it. We'll go and see what we can do to somehow make it possibly larger with it. You know, a lot of times we do that, generally speaking, just because whenever you get something too big, unless you put a permanent sign, weathering and everything else gets to it. So we try to do as best as we can. And, you know, I know they had, from the looks of it, obviously the word got out for this one. But, all right, so next application, I don't know if everyone wants to stay, that's fine. If not, next application. Just let me go let everybody get out there wanted to, just so get more seats and then. All right, next one is Bay St. Louis Home and Property LLC. Application for sketch plat approval for Phase 2B of Shieldsboro subdivision. Applicant is requesting to change the configuration of 3 parcels of land into 63 new parcels of land in 1 detention pond area. The sketch plat has indicated that the proposed subdivision will comply with the special use district, which allows for single-family dwellings on parcels with a minimum lot width of 70 feet at buildable line, a front yard setback of 15 foot, side yard setbacks of 5, rear yard setback of 10, with maximum lot coverage of 65%. The property in question is located in the general area of the Shieldsboro subdivision, which lies Old Spanish Trail between Spanish Acres and St. Charles Street. The property lies in R2, R3 multifamily district, but it's actually an special use overlay district. That's with the single family use for it. So, administrative letter that's in y'all's packet. So, give y'all little history of this, but originally when this was developed, the Shieldsboro subdivision, phase 2, which is now 2A, which is what is just opened up, that's close to Old Spanish Trail, and what's now called 2B was one continuous one. They were going to do 163 lots at one time. Whenever they came back for 4, they ended up just taking the front half of that and built out the 41 lots that are there. This is the last part of land of these 3 parcels, which are the last part that can be developed here. It originally had a sketch plat or preliminary plat, what it was called, originally done 5 years ago. They did not use it in time, so they have to come back before here. And then I believe in the fall 2025, they came and submitted a sketch plat that was approved. For that reason, we had it with a few more lots than it is currently now, and they had 2 retention ponds. One of the retention ponds that Bay St. Louis had heartburn about was one that was on the, I guess it'd be the southeast corner, which abutted properties that are not in the subdivision that were along St. Charles Street. We worked with the developer, their design professionals, and they came back to us with the plan that is now in front of y'all, which is 63 lots, and they'll have 1 retention pond, and that retention pond is now housed in the middle of their subdivision. It doesn't go touch any other properties that are not going to be in the Shieldsboro subdivision. And then of the 63 lots, 62 of them are developable, because lot number 20 that they have on their sketch plat, there's a large protective oak tree in the middle of it, and some other ones optical. So there's no way that would be able to be developed. So they denoted that lot 20 that's on the plat is not actually going to be developed. It will probably either be a park or maybe the parcels that on either side of it might want to acquire it. They have the size of all the lots, the setbacks of all the lot conform that was what the special use district that was approved 7 years ago now. So the 70-foot lots, they're all going to be 70 foot at the buildable line. They're all going to be 65. They can have 65% lot coverage, 5-foot side yard setbacks, and whatnot. But what we're having now is, this is the sketch plat. This is what the design is. Even after this gets approved, or gets approved by city council, their engineer is going to have to start doing the work of designing the roads to our specs, water, sewer, the drainage, all of that number. They go bring those plans to the city of Bay St. Louis. So Public Works, Fire Department, any city engineers can look at it to make sure it's up to our specs. We give them building permits to then go and build out the infrastructure, the roads itself to our city standard that was approved. If, make sure, there's enough sewer capacity. If not, there would be, upgrading lift stations or whatnot. And then they go build it out, and then it will come back before y'all for the final plat. But basically the final plat is more of a procedure thing that says, hey, they have done everything that needed to be done to build this subdivision out.
Okay.
The recommendation from administration was approved because they're following all the rules that, there's no variances, they're following all the rules that set forth with
Right.
special use.
Would you like to introduce yourself for us?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Brown. Malcolm Jones, I'm an attorney representing the applicant Bay St. Louis Home Properties. I'm here today with Bobby Heinrich, who's with Heinrich and Associates. He's with the firm that does the design work for this subdivision. I know that Jeremy gave you a little bit of background. I'd like to just expand upon that just a bit, just so you'll know what we're here about. As he said, originally this was approved. It was going to be the phase 2 it got divided up into phase 2A and 2B. They got sketch plan approval many years ago. They got preliminary plat approval for 2A. They constructed 2A. Then in April of 2025, they came back for approval of 2B. 2B is what we're here about today. On July the 9th of 2025, the sketch plan for the 2B area was approved by the Planning Commission. In October of 2025, it was determined through talking with the engineers that it was necessary to go ahead and amend the sketch plan. Currently, the sketch plan we have right now for 2B is current. In other words, it is still in effect. But because they had to make some major changes to comply with what the engineers were requiring, they redid the plat, and now they've got a different location for the detention pond. I'm gonna let Mr. Heinrich talk about that. In the course of doing that, we gave up about 8 lots, I believe. And so we're here today to go ahead and get approval for the amendment to the sketch plan, because the sketch plan was already approved back in July of last year. In any event, I'll let Mr. Heinrich go ahead and talk about it, and then I'll come back at the end.
Bobby Heinrich, 1806 23rd Avenue, Gulfport. Not much more to say other than what Jeremy and Mr. Jones talked about. If you look, I don't know if we have the latest plat over there, but
They have what y'all submitted, the
okay, so
big rolls.
the detention pond was back here in this corner. There was some concerns with neighbors and about having a pond that close to the neighbors back here. So we ended up taking this detention area and including it with the area right here, and that's why you see this big green area right here. Now, this is dry detention. This is not water. Water goes in and water flows out. So it's what we call dry detention. Okay. So we will have a pump station. This is a low area right here. It's always been planned to have a pump station. This all drains down through here. We're actually picking up water. They can't hear you.
You can face it to the audience.
Yeah.
They all have their copies, so if you want to speak in the back.
No,
Probably not charged.
no, it's not charged.
Into this mic, and I'll assist you if we need to make any notations on it. Come on, this side where I, okay?
Or turn the mic.
Okay, sorry about that. So what I was trying to explain here, we had a detention pond preliminarily designed in this corner right here, and there was some concerns with the neighbors along this property line about having a pond there. And I just want to explain that this is called dry detention. It's detaining the water. It flows in, slowly drains out, and this will be mowed and, I mean, it's where drainage water has to go that's required by MDEQ. That we have to detain that amount of water. So the reason it's so big is because there was a temporary pond up in this area, and that serviced phase 1 up here. So that had to be moved down here. That's why you have such a large area right there. So we were asked to move that. Talking with the developer, we lost about 7 lots doing this from the previous sketch plat approval. So as Jeremy was talking about, we'll upgrade the pump stations if need be, but this gets us to the point where we start doing our engineering to design this subdivision. So, if anybody has any questions about that, I'll be happy to answer. The pond is gonna be roughly about 3.5 feet deep. I don't know if I can answer like that.
Wait, not right now.
Yeah.
Finish your comment, please.
So, but it'll be mowable. I mean, you can get a lawnmower out there and mow this. It'll be grassed, and that's basically it. It's not gonna have. You're not gonna have a retention pond where you're holding water. It's gonna flow in, flow out.
Is there anything else give me 1 minute, I see your hand. Okay, 1 minute, give me 1 minute. Is there anything else that y'all wanted to share? Anything that would be valuable for us to hear right now about the sketch plot?
Typically, what happens is we put on our presentation, then they take the questions, and then we come back and answer the questions. I guess that's what you're gonna follow, that
Yeah.
procedure. Yeah.
But I just wanted to make sure that any other things, so you're good right now?
Yes, and we'll move the sign over so
Yeah.
somebody can come to the podium.
Give me 1 minute. Okay, so Mr. McGee, can you come to the podium? State your
Hello,
name.
my name is Josh McGee. I am talking about this mainly because of drainage issues I have around. I've talked to Jeremy Burke several times, especially the Zero Webster position. You know, it was very similar to this thing here. We had a initial site review with the same lack of evidence and lack of work done it, and we're reviewing a project. What are we reviewing? What's the next step? If you imagine that one, an engineering firm, I can't remember the engineering firm at Zero Webster, but they had flow calculations for those retention. It's not in this procedure or in this packet. And again, they were presenting new information that was not presented to us. And to Jeremy Burke, the most excited I've seen him in a long while.
Okay.
To Mr. Burke, he explained that yes, we go through this initial vow, and then they will do all their due diligence without city review, without the review of y'all. What are you voting on today? What rights are you granting? Are you familiar with Chapter 22 or Chapter 47, subdivision review, which is what we're under here? This is initial review plan acknowledgement. What are the other steps? Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you. Okay.
I was gonna say, do you have the sign-in sheet?
I got the sign-in sheet. Okay, you were next. Okay. Okay, come to the podium,
I'll
please.
get you.
And state your name.
My name is Johanna Spaguza, and my husband and I were the second family to reside in Shieldsboro. I thought Mr. Bill Shanks and his design and his intent for all of that was absolutely wonderful. And because we used to be living by the river, and then Katrina sent us to Diamond Head, and we were just so ecstatic when I met Mr. Shanks, and he told me about the subdivision that we bought the house, the blue house that's on the main boulevard, and bought the lots on both sides. And it was, you know, a great idea. And then came along phase 2, and I was here for the meetings for phase 2, and I was the one who asked to have 70-foot lots, because I couldn't imagine all those houses built on 50-foot lots and all the traffic in that little space. Okay, so at least we had that victory, and we had 70-foot lots. But then unfortunately, Mr. Bill had passed away, and that property was sold to a gentleman, I can't remember what Jeff's last name was, but that company was from Louisiana. And we had several meetings there in Shieldsboro to talk about phase 2. And we were satisfied, because one of the things I was concerned about was, were we gonna have cookie cutter houses like you see popping up all over the place, or were we gonna have custom built houses like we had in Shieldsboro? Okay, well, we were assured that everything was going to be fine, it was going to be done that way, and then all of a sudden, that person sold the property to a company called DSLD. And for y'all who are not familiar with who DSLD is, they build nice houses, so I'm not saying anything negative, except they build cookie cutters. They usually have, you know, a small number of houses that you can choose from. So now I'm sitting on the main boulevard, looking across the street at 3 houses that just different colors, and the garages might be switched, but they're exactly the same thing. And you ride through the whole subdivision, and that's what you got. The whole, not, you know, the whole part of phase 2. And now somebody's building this awful structure that, it must be 20 feet up in the air at first. And it looks like it's going to be because it's got a big opening at the end of it, a big RV. Okay, I'm from my house 2 blocks away, and I have some pictures of that I brought today that y'all can take a look at. So it's gotten out of hand in phase 2, and you know, I'm here to plead that phase 2B, is it what you're calling it?
What's the correct term, Jeremy?
Phase 2B.
2B, okay. 2B is, thank goodness, it's still gonna be at least 70-foot lots, but are they gonna be custom built homes, or are they gonna be cookie cutters like we ended up with in phase 2? Because all that did was just, in my opinion, and I'm a real estate broker, is really diminish the value of our properties. We were very proud of Shieldsboro, and still am. It's just that now we have cookie cutter houses to look at. Well, you can get that anywhere, all over Gulfport. I mean, all over other places, you know. But so now, and I'm going to get emotional. You know, y'all forgive me.
Take a moment.
I used to spend my summers here in Bay St. Louis when I was a kid with an aunt and uncle that lived on Cary Court. And I always said I was going to live in Bay St. Louis. Well, I did. I lived on the water, but Katrina convinced me I couldn't live there anymore. So I went to Diamond Head. I didn't like Diamond Head. And when Bill Shanks come walking into the Gertrude Gardner office right there on the highway, and I met him, and he started telling me about his subdivision, I said, I'm coming to see it. And it was all the things he said. And we were the second ones and we've been living there for almost 16 years. But now we ended up in section 2, in phase 2, cookie cutter houses, I'm sorry, and yeah, they're neat, they look nice. You know, now we have, what is it now, at least probably 80 more cars, so which is another concern, main concern, is what about all the traffic? This new section is not going to provide another ingress and egress, okay, to where some of that traffic can go. No, it's going to come either up the boulevard or it's going to come up the 2 side streets. So the present people, I don't know how many people are here from Shieldsboro, but I hope when I turn around, there's a whole lot of them here, because I don't want to see phase 2B end up being like phase 2. And I'm concerned, and one of my questions is, will the elevation for the houses in phase 2B be higher than the existing phase 1? Because when I passed by there on my way here tonight, and I saw these big piles of mud, and I'm thinking, oh my God, is that going to be higher elevation? Because where's the water going to flow to? Yeah, you've got a retention pond, but it's got to get out of there some kind of way. So that's another big concern of mine, and I think I'll leave it at that. I'm beginning to get to the point where if it gets any worse with traffic, and then when I find out it's going to be another 63 lots, so what is that, another 126 cars? So we've got the possibility for 82 cars for the 41 lots in section 2, and yet we have no new streets for traffic to come in and leave. So what's it going to be like, a traffic jam? You realize how much that means that Thomas Shields Boulevard has to take in, and those 2 little side streets? So I'm not against this. I just think that it needs a little bit more done, and one of the things should have been more access, not to have to travel through those little neighborhoods with those little streets for all of these cars to get to, or come down the boulevard, which is, you know, one direction each way. But it's gonna be awful with all the traffic, because you have at least 2 cars for each family.
You said that you had photos for us. Do you want to present them?
Ma'am?
Didn't you say you have photos?
Oh, I have a couple on my phone that I can show you, as far as
Do you want to briefly
that
show
horrible
us?
looking thing that they're building back there in phase 2. It looks like a barn.
You want to briefly show us those right quick,
Okay, sure.
if you have them?
I didn't take a picture of the big mound of dirt, but that really worried me.
All right. Well, let's keep the side chatter to a minimum, please. Where?
That's in phase 2.
Okay. Did anybody else want to see it?
Oh, and like I said, it was supposed to be custom-built homes, and it turned out not to be custom-built homes. So what are we gonna get in phase 2B? We're gonna get more of those cookie cutters and all of this traffic? I don't know how that got approved. That's awful. What? The place is ugly. From 2 blocks away, I took, all you can see is this big old, it looks like a barn.
No worries. Okay. I'm gonna ask you to go and have a seat for us, though. Okay. Did anybody else from the audience have any questions before I go and open it up to the people who signed up? Okay, give me one more minute. All right. I have Mr. David DiPrio.
Yes, I'm David DePrio, D-E-P-R-E-O. First of all, I want to say I welcome the development, but I'm going to tell you, Ms. Paguzza just hit on the problem that I'm here about. And so y'all had, what, A2 and then A3, that was all one section. What they've done is they built the front section, and they don't have egress and egress to the back section. Now, when they tore out all the oak trees and magnolias and stuff, they leased a lot on St. Charles and came through there and hauled all that in and out. With what Ms. Paguzza's telling you, in front of her house is a one-way street, and in front of my house is a one-way street. I'm picturing 10, 18-wheelers trying to get down a one-way street in front of my house. Man, if anything, I ask y'all, please consider egress and egress. It's a problem. It's a problem. I was told that they didn't buy that piece on St. Charles. They leased it. We'll go lease it to finish this project out. And then maybe you can tie those 2 little streets that you built in there from the first section to tie in there. But right now, you come in off Old Spanish Trail, you go down a one-way street in front of my house, the next block, and then to where they plan on entering that property. Not gonna work. I talked to the HOA. I can't park my car on the street, but I can have a contractor at my house, or I can have a guest at my house. I promise you, if somebody's parked, and I've talked to the police department, it's legal for me to park there. If I park my car or contractors working in my house on the street, they'll have cement trucks lined up down Old Spanish Trail waiting to get in. Gotta do something about the egress and egress, and I ask y'all to please weigh that heavily on whatever you decide.
All right, thank you so much. All right. Here's another name. Tony Turnelian. What was it? Tunia.
501 John Baptiste Street, Shieldsboro subdivision. And I didn't know Ms. Paguzza was going to speak, and this gentleman that just spoke. So some of these questions, concerns from fellow residents, homeowners, may be duplicated, but I would like to at least review some of them. The first question I have is like a personal question for myself. When I looked up at the Secretary of State site, I could not find any information about Bay St. Louis homes and properties. The only information I found that it was dissolved in 2017. So who and what are they? That's my first question. I don't really expect a reply, today because I have several questions, but if this can be documented and researched to find out who the heck they are, we would appreciate it as homeowners, okay?
Well, pause. Is there any way you could tell us, answer that question for us?
Wait till after and we'll get the applicant.
Okay. Thank you. The other question I had, is Bay St. Louis Homes and Properties the same company that cleared this phase 2? Because was there an application, was there apply for a permit to clear the property to barren? It's barren now, okay? That's another question I have. Was it the same company that did this, cleared the property? Since the land is barren now, practically barren, if there's a handful of trees, that's about all there is, will there be any trees replanted by the developer and or the buyer of the property to give some type of buffer zone against the railroad tracks in Central? Because now, as I sit on my patio, and I can speak for many of the homeowners, the train is like passing through my back patio. Okay, so that is a concern. If any trees will be replanted to replace what has been bulldozed down, okay? The other question was, is the developer responsible or the builder, the big builder? We all surmise who it's gonna be again, but will the big builder be responsible for building some type of buffer, as in wall or as in shrubbery and big trees? I'm not talking ornamental trees. I'm talking something to give it some type of buffer from the noise, the sound. I'm not too clear. Another question I have is, I don't fully understand, I think I can speak for some people, to define what special use district standards are. I overheard gentleman say that these were approved 7 years ago. If somebody can answer that right
So
now.
let me explain that, because it's so the initial zoning for this part of Bay St. Louis, just wherever lots, if R1, R2, R3, highway commercial, it was R1. This part was R2 and R3, which has the uses of, single family houses, duplexes, multifamily dwellings, condos, all those uses, but also it has different lot sizes. Like R3 is, I don't know, top of my 7,500 square foot lots that are 60 foot wide. So the developer came in and say, instead of asking for variances for all these different lots, we're just going to do a special use over all of this, and this is the rules that we're going to use, which are 70 foot lot at the buildable line. We're not going to, although it's R2 and R3, that's not the special use we asked for. The use that we want with the special use district is to build single family homes. So, you would not have a apartment complex or condo going in there. So that's what it is. So that many years ago, instead of asking for 100 and something variances to this, and also having the chance of getting this, you just go set all your rules so everybody in the neighborhood knew what they were getting, was being asked for beforehand. It's just honestly the cleanest way to do a max thing without a true zoning change to something different.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you for that. The other thing I wanted to ask is, I don't understand why, look, this development, this building is gonna happen regardless. We all know that, okay? But why such a saturation of 63 homes? Okay, could any type of considerations be made to make the subdivision smaller? Yes, because to address the concerns of the other two owners that spoke, it's going to be problematic for just the 3 main streets. If you look at the plot plan, there are only probably 3 streets that's gonna be used for all this truck construction and machinery, okay? So is there any type of consideration to this proposed plan that we can have a smaller subdivision with less homes, less traffic? Because I don't know if anyone's familiar here with Shieldsboro subdivision, but these are very narrow residential streets with back alleys, okay? Let's see, the last 2 questions I have, I'll try to make it short, is we'd like to know what is the projected finish date of this development stage? Are we gonna live through this for 3 years, 2 years, year and a half? If we can get some type of idea, because like to reiterate, I know this is gonna happen. We all know this is gonna happen, okay? And I moved here, in closing, I moved here because of the charm and quality of life that Bay St. Louis had to offer. I chose Shieldsboro because of its covenants, restrictions, and now I feel it's being coveted by big developers, big builders, special interest individuals, and it's really, in my opinion, it lines their pockets, and it degrades our quality of life. So thank you for listening, and I appreciate y'all's consideration on this.
Alrighty, thank you, Ms. Tammy. Tony. All right, next is David Noble.
My name is David Noble, and I live at 403 Thomas Shields Boulevard. I think, as someone has already said, I think this is kind of a repeat, but it needs to be said. The egress. I actually, if you're familiar with the neighborhood, I'm currently the last house on Thomas Shields where the new section will start. So I'll have a new neighbor, a new build will be next to me. Raymax comes in right, literally almost at my driveway. You can go down that side street from St. Charles and go straight into my driveway. So I have a concern with the construction traffic. That's part of the problem too. But if they can rent the lot that they use to get rid of the debris, again, need to look into renting that or requiring or renting that to get the construction in and out, because the street next to me where it will be extended is already torn up. There's a big spot at the bottom of my driveway where it's already torn up because it was never extended or never capped off or that type thing. So that is definitely a big issue. There's been some things said about, when I bought in Shieldsboro, I'm open to the neighborhood expanding. Could it be smaller? Maybe. Okay, again, that's less profits for people down the line. But they've already somebody's already increased their profit by wiping out all the magnolias and the live oaks that were there. Granted, I'm sure somebody paid a fine for that, but now they're no longer there. And again, that buffer, a lot of that buffer is gone because being where I am right now until that is developed, there is no buffer. Like the young lady said a minute ago, I can sit out on my back porch and it feels like the train is right next to me because of all that's gone. Okay. The development, I mean, it needs to occur. We know it's going to happen, but those considerations need to be taken into account so that we can maintain the neighborhood. It can maintain the quality of the neighborhood. Okay. That's it.
Alrighty, thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Miss Anita Warren.
Anita Warner, 417 3rd Street. I don't live in Shieldsboro, but I'm also the chair of the Live Oak Registry. So I want to know what they're going to do to protect the few live oak trees that they didn't manage to bulldoze. They should be fenced off. There should be big tree protection signs, and those should be maintained the whole time. And so far, I haven't seen any tree protection signs. They should also be required to put in trees for every lot there because they basically clear cut everything back there. And the people here, it's not that hard. There's a fabulous nursery up in Perkinston called Green Forest, has beautiful trees, and they've given us trees here in the past that we've planted around town. They should be required to put in trees for every lot. They should be required to fence off the few live oak trees they didn't manage to kill. And I agree with all the things that the people from Shieldsboro said. Thank you very much.
All right, Malcolm Jones. Oh, well, yeah. I'm pretty sure, is everybody in the audience, hold on, wait, Mr. Jones.
Jim Matthews, 504 Rameau. I'm one house away from Shieldsboro. I agree with the major problem of getting the trucks and bulldozers that are in for the development. But then you have the issue of over 100 more cars coming in the same way. I think there has to be additional permanent access for the building phase and for after it's completed. If you had some kind of emergency, you'd have a monster backup. People could not get out.
Thank you. Is that it? Okay. We're gonna entertain.
Wait.
Hold on. Okay. Hold on. Okay. Give me 1 minute. And then after this, we're gonna cut off the public hearing for this section.
Yeah, I think they had one more
Okay.
over here and then.
No, we have like 5 more.
Oh,
Hold
okay.
on.
My name is Joan Coleman. I live at 509 Spanish Acres Drive and back up to this new 2A subdivision. My concern is fire and flooding. I don't know, since they've rearranged the landscape or the topography of the land, if my street is going to start retaining water again as it did years ago before Katrina. I'm concerned about that, and I'm concerned about fire trucks getting into the new area as well as my area already. Spanish Acres is a 2-lane road that starts at Old Spanish Trail and dead ends at the railroad track, and that's the only access. Now with all these extra houses behind me, what's going to protect them from a mass fire in the whole subdivision? Because if these streets are as narrow as they have already in Shieldsboro, the trucks are going to have a terrible time getting down there. There needs to be more access or egress. That's my concern. Flooding and fire.
Thank you.
Has the fire department even been consulted on the layout of this so that we know they can get into the property?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but we'll address that because there's a couple of questions
Thank you.
that we can ask Jeremy at the end. Who else? Didn't you?
Jeff Best, 135 Lemoyne. I echo what everyone said from Shieldsboro. The egress is a major issue. One thing I did find, and I'm glad that somebody spoke up about the trees going, and I know the builder was fine. There was a meeting on March 4th, and I don't know how much the builder was fined. Jeremy, you may know.
We'll address that after.
Oh,
We'll address it
okay,
after.
but the builder was fined, but in the green area that, they moved out from the retention pond, there was a lot of trees they're built up. I think that's where a lot of sound, came from the railroad tracks. And one issue, I live across from the pool, and now we're gonna add 63 lots, and one small pool isn't gonna cut it for this many. We have 40 new houses from the old Shieldsboro. Now we're gonna add 60 more, and we have one small pool. That's not gonna cut it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, one more question. Did you? Okay. Alrighty. Mr. Jones, I will say this for the sake of time. Can you condense and address like just a few questions?
I will
And-
go through as quickly as I can, just to make the record. Like you said, this is my only chance. Yeah.
And then just, I know there was just some questions, I think it was directed kind of towards the city.
Yeah.
So this
Well,
is.
Let's address it after
okay.
this. Let's address it after this. Okay.
All right, Mr. Heinrich will help me a little bit as we go. One of the first persons that talked was talking about drainage and what was going to be the requirements. So to be able to do this constructions, we have to go ahead, the engineers have to go ahead and do drainage calculations, and they have to submit all of the drawings to the city engineering department. So we have to comply with all of that. And to the extent that it exceeds the requirement, sometimes for stormwater, it has to go to the state and has to be approved by the DEQ as well. I'm not sure if this one does or not. So it has to be approved, the drainage plans have to be approved by the state and by the county engineer before any work is done out there. Other steps that come after this, all of that, construction drawings and everything else goes through the engineering department and every other department, public works, fire, police, all of those people get to look at it before it goes to the first permits given to allow construction. Addressing the concerns of Ms. Bakuza, she would prefer not to see cookie cutter houses in the subdivision. I think probably everybody would like that, but neither Bay St. Louis nor any other city on the coast that I'm aware of, and I have quite advanced knowledge about this for a lot of reasons, has an ordinance or anything that says you have to have all custom houses. If they did have such an ordinance, it would be illegal. But nevertheless, we will have to meet whatever the elevation requirements are for the flood ordinance. If it has changed, which I don't think it has since 2009, you would have to go up to the next height. But as far as the traffic and the access, this plan has been reviewed now 3 times by the city and the engineers and the fire department and the police department as far as getting emergency access into this subdivision and out. And also for the traffic going out into the roadways. I know that people say, well, you're gonna have 63 lots and you multiply by 2 and you're gonna have 120 something cars show up. That's not the way traffic works. People come and go all during the course of the day. So there's not that type of traffic that shows up. As far as let's see, Miss Tony, I've forgotten your last name, ma'am, and I couldn't pronounce it if I did, but nevertheless, whatever the city's ordinance requires as far as replanting trees on individual lots or within the subdivision, we will comply with that. But it's the intent of the developer to do exactly what the ordinance requires. We did in fact have a construction easement through there. Several people have asked about that. It is our intent to go ahead and get that construction easement again. And I say our intent because we can't control the other property owner. If they don't want to give us the easement, then we're going to have to get it through some other way. But it is our intent to do that. The process takes about a year. Somebody was asking a question about how long we'll have to go through this. It takes about a year to go through the review process with the city, with the engineering departments and all the other departments. The construction drawings will probably be ready pretty soon, within a couple of months, and submitted. We're going to have the same restrictive covenants that we had before for section 2A. So all the things that were required for 2A will be in 2B when I say restrictive covenants. Good to see Ms. Anita again. We will go ahead and comply with all requirements of the tree ordinance as far as tree protection, you know, roping it off in advance. And it's the intent of the developer to also consult with an arborist as they move forward to make sure that we don't have any other issues as pertains to live oaks and other protected trees in the area. I know that some people have asked about trying to create another way in and out because this property backs up to the railroad tracks. I don't think we were able to find a way, as I recall, Bobby, maybe you could talk about that, to investigate the ability. I know that the fire department and the emergency access has all been approved in advance. These roads are going to be wide enough for a fire truck. They will be able to get in and out, and for police protection as well. think that's basically the main questions that came up. Bobby, you have anything you want to add to that?
I just wanted to add Bobby Heinrich, 1806 23rd Avenue. We actually have 3 entrances into this subdivision. And I can read the names. We have the one coming up, the main ones, Thomas Shields Boulevard, Bain Avenue, and Rameau Street. That's 3 exits out of this subdivision. So that's why, you know, the planning department, the fire department, everybody takes a look at these sketch plats. And if they had any comments, we would get an email saying we got to do this, you know, in order to move forward. So all that's been addressed. There's, you know, just look at the circulation of how this subdivision is done. So if there's an emergency on a lot, they have 2 ways, actually 3 ways to get out of this subdivision. So that's taken care of. That's not an issue at all. So that's about the only comment.
Let me just say this, you know, there's only one thing that I know in development that's for certain, and that's what you're gonna have change. We're always gonna have change in the cities we live in, and you know, you can either accept the fact that you're gonna have change and manage it, which is what y'all do, or you can go ahead and try to fight against it. But the reality is you're gonna have change. It just happens. And this project meets all the requirements. The city's gone so far as to recommend it after all their review and all their departments. This would be the 3rd time that it would have been approved by the city. And as I said, we had sketch plan review the 1st time, and we came back the 2nd time, and now we come back to you for an amended sketch plan, just because we had to move the detention ponds. But we did that because the city required us to do so, and we were glad to meet that requirement. That's all my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Does our commission have any questions?
Is there a requirement to have fencing around the retention ponds?
I don't think we have it. I do not think we have it in there, but if we deem it that it needs to be safe, I'm sure we can require it.
Okay, wait, okay.
No, I don't think there's an actual, I don't know, that's a building, but I do not think there's an actual requirement. Some of the stuff that there's a requirement is like, we're gonna get an easement, so they're maintaining it, but let's say 50 years from now, everything gets dissolved, we'll make sure that gets stayed for, maintained. Like, those are some of the requirements for retention pond wise.
Wait, no.
So we're talking about, you had mentioned an easement. Where's this easement at?
Oh, let me go show you. So whenever they remove the trees and stuff, what was the last name of the person that has to be on what's the last person of the, y'all got easement from on St. Charles? It was one of these lots here, whenever they had to go remove the debris, whenever they did it, they went in, I guess, got an easement from there, so they just came out here instead of going out that way with all the trucks.
And we're willing to do that again if the gentleman's willing to grant us the easement during the entire construction phase.
So another concern I have is on the first section. I wasn't on the board at the time.
Yes, sir.
So where you butt up to Spanish Acres, and it would be Spanish Acres. They have no right of way for the power companies either. So I owned at the time, I owned a house on 203 Dolores Street, which butts up right against it.
Okay.
So we have this maybe 4 to 5 foot in between. I mean, you can't get a vehicle through it, and nobody can get there to trim the trees unless they manually climb them. I do have a problem with that.
We can go ahead, part of the subdivision covenant, and on the plat, put utility easements wherever necessary to get back there.
And then so Spanish Acres subdivision actually has an easement on the back side of that abuts this property. I think I just happen to have it in my office that we thought it was vice versa, but it's Spanish Acres back of all those that touch this to Old Spanish Trail actually have an easement like filed at Chancery.
That's right. Of course, as people do, some people have gone over there in Spanish Acres and they fenced it off and made it difficult. So fences have to be removed. if you wanna
Yeah,
make it a
I
condition.
would, I mean, something that I would recommend is at least on that side, and I know we don't wanna cut down trees and everything else, but we have trees growing into the power lines there now.
I know, and that's not good.
And I think that should have been cleared out and wiped away before construction started.
If you're inclined to approve, with the condition that we would add that utility easement in place on that side, we will do that.
Okay.
Anything else?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So I live in Pecan Park,
Yes, sir.
and when they were clearing all the trees that y'all cut down,
Yes, sir.
which I disagree strongly with, there was a lot of dust problems with them coming through the property of the guy that lives there on St. Charles. What are you gonna do to alleviate the dust problem?
Dust problem going through that.
The trucks were
the
coming in and
construction
dust was
easement area.
going all over everybody's houses,
Okay.
cars and everything else.
Well, generally what you do, as you know, with probably, if you have a construction background, sounds like you do, what they do is they go ahead and wet the surfaces down and they spray to try to keep that down.
But they didn't do it when they cleared the
Yeah.
land.
But I'm sure if that was a problem before, the construction side of the city, which is the engineers department and public works, they will require that this time. And we'll include that as well.
Okay. Alrighty, thank you, Mr. Jones.
All right.
Alrighty. Do we possibly, just because I'm curious, do we have a possibility to table this?
So it's gonna be a recommendation, but I guess some of the concerns that were just heard in general, there's because I know how long construction is gonna start. I'm not an engineer, but I think we've been around with a few of them. They're gonna have to do their drainage calculations submitted to us, but also because it's over 5 acres, they're gonna have to send it up to MDEQ also to make sure it checks off. But what's for them, it has MDEQ looks at something environmentally. We go make sure that it, because we adopted a conforms with its. They're gonna make sure Public Works and Engineering is gonna make sure it conforms with our stormwater ordinance. And how we craft it now is their engineer does the work and we actually go check it. They've had subdivisions how it used to be in the old subdivision regulations that were just adopted address the issue, but whenever the ones that we changed from it used to be an engineer of record would make a drainage plan with calculations and stamp off on it, and then they go build it to that spec. There used to be necessarily, I guess, not as much oversight whenever you construct subdivisions like Spanish Acres or Pecan Park per se. If those were constructed now, they'd have an engineer of record like Mr. Heinrich, and Mr. Heinrich could just say, hey, this is all right, we'll construct it because we followed it, and there was actually no oversight. Now what we did in City of Bay St. Louis did, not me, 2013, they adopted a new subdivision ordinance, which now requires more stringent stormwater management, but also they have an engineer record, and just because he's standing there, Mr. Heinrich, but he has to submit it to us, and we let our engineer, which is not Mr. Heinrich, that has no affiliation with the party, to go and say, hey, is his calculations right, and does it meet our stormwater ordinance? Yes or no? If it does, great. If not, we comment back and say, hey, it does not, whatever the reason might be, it's engineering stuff, reason why. So all the engineering stuff is the stuff. When it comes to water and sewer, I don't know if it's after it gets put in or not. We make sure it's up to the Bay St. Louis city specs of, 6-inch water, whatever it is, 2-inch water lines, whatever it needs to be. But also the health department is also going to have to go make sure it is safe for everybody. So, the level of scrutiny for a subdivision is far more than, probably even necessarily a house per se.
Wait.
No.
Hold on, Mr. Jones, hold on.
Okay.
Because,
Yeah.
okay, for the sake of time, we're not gonna do any more.
What's that?
I just wanted you said something about tabling this. It's gonna actually be reviewed by the city council next Tuesday night, so actually we need a decision.
Yeah, but say, because,
Where?
so, was there any other questions? Like, city-wise, we're gonna make it, fire chief already looked at the design and said, you know, we can make turns. Like, that's what he goes in. Per rules wise, they're going to have a fire hydrant. I don't know what the number is. Every 500 feet, it's going to be in there. Like, it's, it might not be on the sketch. They might have put it on the sketch plan, but it's going to go there before it goes through that they even start any construction. Is it'll be able to be protected.
Okay, so I'm gonna move for the commission to vote. The only reason I asked about tabling is just seems like so many concerns, and it would have been nice if we had more time, since everyone, you know, has heard it, everybody's tuned in and whatnot, to address those things. But I understand the concerns of Mr. Jones saying that we should anyway. Alrighty.
Yeah, so I'm just.
So it's gonna go in front of.
Yeah, that's right. It's
Okay, but you can't talk out. So, thank you. Okay.
So, all right.
That's fine. Thank you. This will be the last comment. Please, guys. Can you come to the podium, though?
You know, I've been sitting here observing that we have 3 empty chairs, and we've got such an important issue, and so the decision is up to just you 4 people.
Ma'am, this
No, wait.
This
Okay,
is a
Jeremy.
recommendation body, but you have 7 that could potentially be it. 4 is a quorum, so we have enough to go vet this one. It's a sketch plat approval, and not to say it's anything else, but this is a recommendation body that they have to hold a public hearing. They hear the concerns. They're going to make their recommendation of the sketch plat presented. It's not. They can make a recommendation on everything of variances and whatever else. It just happens to be there's no variances required, special exceptions like the last one. It's for the sketch plat. The reason they're here is per our zoning ordinance. Whenever you have a subdivision of this size, over an acre, you have a public hearing for it. So that's why we're here. So.
And I understand that, and the subdivision of that size added to the phase 2 of that size with the same, you know, my question was, is the elevation gonna be higher? Are we gonna have to worry about flooding in the front part of the?
No, ma'am,
I'm concerned about all the construction trucks coming right down.
But rightfully so, you should be concerned. But the city of Bay St. Louis, engineering, public works, and we're going to make sure that it conforms to our stormwater protections. That is not going to adversely affect your property and stormwater and everything else. So like we're doing. So this is the first part.
So what about the traffic issue?
Okay. So, wait, hold on.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay,
So, just, we need a pause, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
We all need a pause and take a deep breath, okay? So, addressing the comment about the board, we are at quorum. We are very capable of doing a vote. We said from the beginning that this is an open forum for everybody to say what they need to say. So then when it moves on to council, council can hear it and address it. Okay, so it wasn't a waste of time. And as I said also, I even wanted to table it because I felt like there were so many concerns. But obviously that is not possible, so we do have to have a vote. I'm not saying that anybody's voices are not being heard. And so Mr. Jones has addressed a few of those things. Not everything has been addressed. And we will get more information about that. And I don't want anybody to feel like everyone who stepped up wasn't heard. I did watch him take notes, and I'm going to make sure as a board, we're going to make sure, because they have to come in how many other times, Jeremy?
Well, they're not just gonna come back, get this, go to city council,
right?
Possibly get an approval, and then start digging, putting a road in.
All these questions will come back up again. And we will get some.
The next meeting when they do come in, because you know it wasn't really addressed. But I mean, Jeremy did try to address
right
the little. It was in the other. Topic, but the little thing, basically, they're creating a U that starts at Lemoyne and goes around to Thomas Shields.
Right.
That sign was only placed morning, okay? Only reason I saw it is because I walked the dog and saw the sign. If it would, that's the only reason I go to the other side of the neighborhood. I normally don't do that. I mean, I'm not just going there because, you know,
Right.
I live on one side of the neighborhood. And again, it's that big, okay, and on the damn ground.
Right. And so just like somebody else brought up about the notice, that is something that the city will have to address. Jeremy is in here, so we will come back and we will revisit that.
The 300 yards, okay, one of the new lots is literally my next door neighbor. Would that not put me within?
So I
300
say-
yards? So should I not have received something in the mail?
All, so
Okay. But, okay, so this is going to
Yeah.
be the last comment on that part. And we can go and address that later because that is also a concern. So we're going to stop right there. Did you want to say something else?
I understand about quorum, it's just, you know, instead of having 7 people voting for or against, we only have 4. So it'll go on to the next one if all of y'all agree. I guess we'll have to see them at the.
But you still
council
have your
meeting.
counsel, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's move on to a vote.
So if we have a motion to approve sketch plat as,
Approve or deny.
I make a motion to deny.
Second,
so we have a motion to deny and second.
all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And I'm
It was,
I-
it was,
it was first by
Osborne.
Mr. Osborne. I
Second.
second it.
All right.
Now, and for me, and my denial would be on contingents with, like we talked about, the egress of the construction vehicles, the right-of-way, the few protected trees that are left, and possibly doing a fence around the retention pond. That's my issues.
All right. Thank you. We're
And
gonna
then
move-
that will be brought up to city council.
Right.
City council will have the ultimate vote on this.
Alrighty, thank you. We're gonna move on to the Greystone Development Group.
all right, so. this- All right, so, all right, I think everybody's clear. So, next item, action item is, Greystone Development Group, application for special use district. The applicant is requesting a special use district to allow, a residential combination of single-family dwellings, condominiums, and townhouses on lots that are smaller than required lot sizes in the Waterfront 1 zoning district. The property is located at 1839 Blue Meadow Road and is identified as, you have the following tax parcels. The current zoning for it is Waterfront 1 zoning district. So for this, let me have Mr. Jim Simpson here that's representing the applicant, but go look at the packet. There is, at the end of Blue Meadow Road, there is 3 parcels, or towards the end of Blue Meadow Road from here, there's 3 parcels that are combined. What Waterfront 1 districts, they require to have lots that are minimum 3 acres, and with the it has to be 3 acres if you go subdivide it, and also Waterfront 1 property, the allowed uses are single family by right, single family duplexes, condominiums, townhouses, 0 lot line subdivisions, but also has the uses of, I'm just going to name a few, art galleries, antique shops, beauty shops. Bars are allowed by special exceptions out there, bait shops, bed and breakfast, a whole list of other uses by right or by special exceptions that are commercial. So the applicant is wanting to forego all the other uses and just have a special use district that, and I think we could even amend this even a little bit further. All he wants is the use to be allowed to do single family houses in condominiums. The notice was originally for townhouses too. That's not even on the table anymore. So he wants to be able to construct single family houses in condos by right, but by doing the special use district, he would forego all the other uses that could be allowed there by right or special use now. But he's also asking to have smaller lots. And instead of taking the 3 lots and dividing it into 7 with all these separate variances, the cleanest way for the city of Bay St. Louis to do it is either to change the zoning to something we already have, which for this would be R3, which are 7,000 square foot lots, and give you the right, but it would also give you multifamily and all this other stuff. The cleanest way to do it is to have a special use district. So he's taking all 7 acres and saying, I would like to make 4 single family lots out of it, with the smallest lot being 12,893 square feet, and the minimum lot frontage being 48.26 feet along Blue Meadow Road. The front yard setback of the single family houses would be, the closest you're going to have is 20-foot front yard, 8-foot side yard, and then a 20-foot rear yard. And then for the condominium lots, the smallest lot frontage, it would have to have a minimum lot frontage of 69 foot along Blue Meadow Road. The minimum lot size would be 44,727 square feet. The front yard setback would be 20 foot. The side yard setback would be 8. The main channel would be 20. So that would be the part that is facing, I guess, the Jordan River. And then the rear yard setback on the man-made canal, so if you go see it, the ones that are dredged out, would be actually 0 feet. So that's what they're asking for. I have we have the plans in here of what conceptually that it would be looking like, but the single family lots would be where along Blue Meadow Road on the corner. The smallest one obviously is 12,893 square feet. And the smallest frontage is actually on a lot that's about 15,000 square feet, but it's pie shaped. So that's where the single family residence would be. I say peninsula for last better use. The road frontage, they wouldn't actually have a road that goes down there. It'd be a private drive parking lot, a driveway. Need to say the actual road frontage is along Blue Meadow Road. So all the utilities and stuff would be on theirs, except I think this part of Blue Meadow Road is actually not Waveland, or it's not part of our utility of Bay St. Louis. It's part of in Hancock County Water and Sewer District. I hope I've made that clear. So, but let me just say, by right, the condos are currently allowed. What they're asking for is single-family houses are allowed by right, but condos are allowed there. So, sure, somebody's going to touch on that. If this land wasn't touched and was developed the way it was, it's 3 parcels, so it could be 3 different houses on one house on each parcel, or it could be condos on all the parcels wherever, just because it's allowed use currently.
Right.
Hi, thank you, ma'am. My name is Jim Simpson. I'm a lawyer from Gulfport with Wise Carter, 1125 14th Street, Suite 1101 in Gulfport. I'm here to assist the developer and speak on this. I'll try to be brief because I know it's been a long night for me. What we're seeking here is a special use designation, and the purpose is to better accommodate what we feel is the best development for this property. There's 3 parcels, but I think they're only going to build on 2. The southernmost, I don't think it's being built on. I've got a drawing here, but it's the same one that's in your packet for everyone to look at. So we do want to build 4 single-family dwellings on the one parcel, the north parcel, I assume all of you are familiar with there's very nice homes further out there where that road dead ends. There's some, I've driven out there, some very beautiful homes. These 4 homes would complement those homes, so it would be very, very nice construction, and the developer's aware of what's out there. He does want to build condominiums on the rest of it, the adjacent parcels. And we agree with Jeremy. The best way to accommodate the needs out here is to put that special use district on it. One thing that's important is, I want to say this artfully. I was city attorney in Long Beach for 20 years, did planning work. I'm city attorney in the past now. You never say, well, if you don't give me this, I'm going to do that. That's not what I say. You never say that. But we think it's a great idea to put the special use district on this and make clear for the adjoining landowners, let everybody know you'll never have to worry about a bait shop or a public boat launch. You'll never have to worry about all those other things that someone could put there by right. We're not going to put them there by right. We're not saying we would put. You say this is not, no, we're still not going to do that. So nobody's threatening anything, but doing this would protect the landowners in the area and ensure to them that the only thing that's going to go there is residential. So it actually, I'll echo something that Malcolm said, and I've seen it for 20 years. I don't say change is inevitable, but development is inevitable, and really development is what you want, provided it's controlled and it's regulated and it's consistent with the comprehensive plan, consistent with your zoning ordinance. But this use is consistent with your comprehensive plan. It's consistent with your current zoning ordinance. I even looked at the one that's maybe being under review or something out there, but it'll be consistent with that one too, the use there. You're going to build nice condos. There will be boat slips. People will have access to it. There will be substantial pride of ownership. And so it'll be a really nice development, and we're certain will add to the value of the areas. Again, the residents can make sure there's not going to be a convenience store, bait shop, no bars, no public boat launches. If we can get this special use district, you never have to worry about any of that coming in. All you're going to have is residential construction, which is what's going to go there ultimately one day anyway, we feel. That's what it's zoned for now. That is what your city planned to go there at some point. I'm going to try to, we prefer our idea to any other development idea. And I'm just going to leave that there. It's going to be upscale, it's residential. There will be recreational access for the owners, but no public boat launches. So the traffic in and out on Blue Meadow Road will be minimal. It's just people who live there. It won't be any kind of retail that would draw in unnecessary people or people who don't have pride of ownership and don't have the same kind of security issues that everyone else does. It's a long night, and I think Jeremy did a good job. I think you know what we're asking for. Unless someone wants to ask me a question now, I think I'd rather yield. And I know there's a lot of people who have comments. You know, we're aware of the concerns. I've read them around traffic, boat use, stormwater, all those things. But I think it would probably be most efficient if I yield now, let them say, and then I'll come back and answer questions, if that'd be okay.
So I do have a question
Yes,
for
ma'am.
you. What is your plan, well, the developer's plan, when it comes to erosion control?
Okay, well, I'm sure you know that the stormwater management, the bulkhead, the erosion, the drainage, all of those things are vetted and regulated and thoroughly controlled by the city engineer and all the people who overlook that. We're going to do two things: everything the city requires, but everything that we think we need to do to maintain an upscale property. We're not going to do just a minimum to get by. I mean, you're going to say these are going to be nice townhomes, people with boat slips. They're going to be bulkheads around things. It's all going to be a really upscale development. So I don't want to tell you exactly what we're going to do, because I don't want you to think we're not going to do more if that's what's required. I guess we're going to do an adequate job and as best we can. I'm a lawyer, I'm not an engineer. So.
I appreciate Does the commission have any questions? Thank you.
Is any of this, considered wetlands?
There are some wetlands on it. I don't think, I'm not as familiar as the developers. I don't think up where the building part is on the southern edge, I have some tax parcel maps. Could I give that to you? They just printed them off.
No, it's the, he denoted on there where it's the green where.
Okay.
You did.
Make sure it's,
Okay.
There's a large parcel to the south.
Yeah, 0.77 acres. Okay.
The big large parcel, and there's none of what you see on that building design is on that. That remains as it is.
Okay. Is that it, MJ?
Yeah.
Okay. Before I read out the people who signed up, is there anybody who hasn't signed up that wants to say something? Go ahead and come up.
My name's Andy Bueller. I'm born and raised right there in that neck of the woods. I'm all for the change. I live on 10065 Paradise Lane, right down the road from there. Paradise turns into Stewart, goes into Blue Meadow. I launch a boat right there on a private boat ramp 3 times a week. I know that land very well. Like I said, I'm 65 and I was born down there. I used to own property down there. I just have a question is, are they gonna have to build to the elevation of the city, tells us?
Yes, sir. So
these little bitty houses are gonna be like 20 foot in the air?
So yes, I think.
Okay, I mean,
Yeah, but say it's gonna be
they're gonna have to follow the same codes
Yes,
that
sir.
I would.
As anybody would.
Right.
Yes.
And if it's not marshland, they gotta go through DMR because it floods on normal high tides, and that's classified on a DMR. I'm sure they checked into that. And that's my biggest thing, because if I wanted to build something down there, and it cost me out. I couldn't afford to build something small to leave down there. And I did, because of all the legal affairs that it takes to do that.
Right.
And I just want to make sure they're going to have to follow the same rules that everybody else does. And that place was city after Katrina. It was county before. Now it's all city. I'm in part of all that. I know. I've dealt with it. And they took the commercial out from down there when that was the shipyard. I used to do a lot of work down there when it was shipyard out of my own personal business, because I live on the property line of the county city line that had a business. And I got grandfathered, and I pay for a license every year. But they, from what I was told, and this is only hearsay, that I was told from the city, or after Katrina, when they annexed me, my taxes went up every year. They go up at least $100 to $125 a year since Katrina. That there's no more commercial zoning back there. Now, they did say it's residential, I understand that. But that was a shipyard, and a lot of people, hearsays, tried to build down there, and they couldn't because of all the, over the years, the lead paint, they got to disperse of so much mud, and they couldn't do it because of the wetland flower. So long as I don't have a problem with them doing what they want. I don't mind change, but long as big people have to follow the same rules as little people do. That's all. Thank y'all for your time.
Thank you. All right, next I have, excuse, do you mind moving that so they can get there? Thank you. Go ahead, that's fine. Amy Bush.
Speak fast. I'm gonna try and make this fast. My name is Amy Bush. I live on Good Street, which is about a half a mile from this area. So I was kind of upset that I didn't get a card. I know it's only 300 feet, but this affects me being half a mile away. I know I'm a half a mile because I walk that road 2 to 3 times a week. And I walk that road because there's no sidewalks in that area, which is another big problem we have, because if there's, again, no sidewalks anywhere in that area, in that neighborhood, back up in there. So everyone has to walk in the roads. I just feel like it's gonna be a big problem when you know, with all this traffic. I've been there since Casino Magic, which is now Hollywood Casino. I watch them rebuild that casino. I've been there, rebuilt it after Katrina. So I've seen the traffic that has increased on the roads and in the waterways. It's just, it's so much. And so I know it's only be worse, especially with all the construction trucks coming in and out. Like the man was saying, the areas floods back there just in small storms when there's a high tide. So, and I'm surprised. I thought it was just marshland. I didn't even think you could build on that land right there. In fact, that is a really good replica right there. The tax assessor's land, it does not show it that clear. It just looks, it's so narrow. And again, the only access to be back there would be have to go through Blue Meadow by the high school, or the quickest access to that area would be by Wendy's coming up Paradise and going through Stewart. And that would be the main access, people coming up and down the road. And as it is, they're going to start building on Stewart, I'm sure, eventually. And it's people are speeding as it is down there. Again, no sidewalks in that area. I'm also worried about the code department being able to keep up with any issues because, again, I live on Good Street. I've been for years. I have a neighbor who has a Hearst and it's been broken down a Hearst for years, and a pool with no fence around it. I've gone to the code department. I brought them cookies, cakes. I'm told them I'm going to start calling you monthly now because if y'all can't handle this, how are they going to handle something else in the area? You know, literally, I've been there for years complaining about this person with a pool, no water in the pool, no fence around it. And again, the Hearst. It's just a slop. And again, he's saying about building houses and condos. It sounds like it looks like from that plan, it's only be 4 houses and 28 condos and butt slips. That's way too much. I'm sorry. I'll keep it to minimum, but I'm totally against it. Thank you, Tom.
Ms. Bush. Andy Elkins.
My name's Andy Elkins. We're currently building a house at 1870 Blue Meadow at the end, and I was actually in front of you guys a couple of months ago about some trees. But anyway, one of the reasons that we selected that property, of course, now that we have 3 young grandchildren, we were really hoping to find a place in Bay St. Louis that was a low traffic area, which the end of Blue Meadow really kind of fit that for us. And I understand the 4 single dwelling properties, and I have no issue with that at all. I am concerned about the 28 condominiums as far as the increase of traffic, as well as you can get into Airbnb stuff and all this. But you can only imagine, we have it, and it's a very small, narrow road. And so we chose that just for that reason of kind of low traffic area. And I'm a little, I don't know if I can ask the question, but I'm a little concerned that, or I'm a little confused maybe of, if it already is designated to allow this, then I may have missed them.
So, and just so clarified now, so Waterfront 1 property, which your house is R1 property, which are 12,000 square foot lots if they were recut in 100-foot frontage. These 3 parcels are Waterfront 1 property. So the minimum lot size is 3 acres. So if you have 7 acres and you want to cut it to conform to it, all you could essentially do is combine reconfigure the 3 lots into 2 lots, and if you can conform into 2 lots, then you only allowed to have 1 dwelling per lot. So essentially, you could only have 2 houses. So to make it and whenever they came to us, the developer came to us. I'm like, the cleanest way to do things is to make a special use district and tell us exactly what you're going to do, and have the public hearing about it and say, we're going to overlay the property so everybody can be there. So with that being said, since it's 3 parcels now, condos is basically just a type of ownership, but you only can build 1 single family dwelling per parcel, like by zoning rules. Per zoning rules, we don't. I think we might be able to, but let's just say theoretically, per acre, and not per parcel, per acre, you could probably put, I don't know, 20 condos, 20 dwelling per acre there. And I think so, you know, coming this way for the sake of the public, I said be as most transparent as possible, is saying show us exactly what's going to happen there. Some of the issues that came up was if you wanted to try to have single family lots on these peninsulas, they're not necessarily even wide enough to put our roads in there, which would need to be 50 foot, 20 foot of pavement. So, but if somebody wanted to come there and purchase property and put condos throughout, all they would need to do is come back, for a site plan hearing and say, hey, we're doing everything by right. And, I guess then somebody could deny it because we don't like it, but that's probably not a legal defense that the city would want to go and, die on the hill of we just don't like it.
Okay. Well, again, I don't have a problem in the world for single dwellings. I am just voicing my opposition to 28 condominiums on a dead end road with low traffic. So, appreciate it.
Thank you. Michael Williams.
Hey, Michael Williams, 1861 Blue Meadow Road, and like everyone before me, I am also, I like the development, the 4 single-family homes. I think that's great, and we need it out there. But 28 condominiums on this, again, very narrow road that floods at high tide. It's in my mind, it's way too overpopulated for the area, and just wanted to voice my concern with that. That's
Thank
it.
you.
Thanks.
Marcy okay, Dawson.
Hi, I'm Marcy Dalton. I live at 11096, so I am the bowels of that area. Everything that is built up there, so all that new dirt and whatnot coming in is gonna push down my way and flood us out, as it already does with all of the new building. I did want to know about the traffic, how the workers will be able to get in there and out of there, where they're gonna park. We already have problems with tree trimmers coming and utility companies and things like that. The systems are already failing miserably. I do have a problem with the 4 building sites and the 28 condos. Definitely. I want to know, when I call the state representative and I get told that they can't dredge our area or whatever, that it's because Area 6, when they dredged, there were people's bulkheads and properties that were being pushed out and damaged. So it kind of doesn't make sense, and you're going to allow other building and other boat slips and other traffic to come in and out of there. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Why don't we go ahead and, change is inevitable, success is optional. Let's take care of what we have. You can't even get through where I live at. I live like on a little peninsula on Lake Drive, and I'm surrounded by 2 sides of water, and then Lake Drive comes around of Lard-ass subdivision, and I find it hard to believe that you can build on that. There's like a waterway that comes through the property, and then it comes around and hits the front. So I would just need to, like, how much dirt is going to be brought in and how much is going to be, shipped away. Who's upkeeping the property? The sewers, the ditches, the drainage. How is it going to be environmentally impacted? How is that going to be handled? There's a bridge right there on Paradise and Stewart, and that's already dilapidated. I believe that the engineers go out there. I have lived there for 10 years. We are unable to use the waterways because of downed trees. So unless you go out there as a resident, which we do,
and trim the trees or cut the trees out of the canals yourself, which I sort of thought that that was a thing about DMR and, you know, wetlands, I would have to question that 0.77 acres as wetlands as well. And I want to know too about the erosion and control and the protection of the trees and the properties. And that is really all that I have to say, and I appreciate you, and thank you.
Thank you. Next, Wayne Johnson.
Good evening. Wayne Johnson, 1845, Blue Meadow, right around the curve, first house with a sailboat. I have a lot of thoughts. Do risk assessment work on the bulk electric system and have a lot of experience analyzing risk. We put a good letter out there with a lot of details and concerns, but here comes one with a heartfelt, very emotional story. We've had a lot happen at our house. We've had 2 drunks, or maybe 3, hit our house. Thank goodness they hit a middle piling and the corner didn't come down. But there's been a lot. There's been police chases. We are on a dead-end road. We're going from 17 to 49 new residents.
You gotta talk to us.
I'm sorry. We're going from 17 to 49 new residents. This is a big, big change. Not just culturally. And I do agree that I'm all about family, and I agree with the $4 million houses. The 28 units will cause chaos. Can I ask a question?
To who?
Well, to the developer.
Well, if you want to ask it, and they answer it later.
Yeah, just answer it aloud, but not directed towards me.
I'm really interested to know, has a risk assessment been performed?
Right.
Traffic-wise with the city. And we need to know this, because there's a very big deal, as it is right now, from what I can see from the plans. If this development allows Airbnbs, in which I have a friend that is in the middle of something like this in Destin, Florida, and if they allow Airbnbs in this thing, you're going to have a party central there. It's going to totally change things. 17 to 48 new residents, from police response to which we've had and we've experienced. And, you know, I love the movie Sully. Sully sat in a big room after he landed the plane in the Hudson, saved all those people's lives. And they all had their ideas. They had their plans. They had all these assumptions. They should have landed that plane just fine at the airport. And when he got up there, because he was sitting behind the cockpit, he told them some things that totally changed everything for the simulator. And that plane would have killed a lot of people had he continued on that path. Safety is our concern. And I think we need to really take a hard look at risk here, y'all. From police response to drunks coming to an unfamiliar place because they've rented it and they've been downtown at the Blind Tiger and it's been an awesome night. And they drove right past there and they go around the curve and take out our house, to which they may hit the corner piling this and that right now and kill my father or my father-in-law or somebody in our family. This is a big, big deal, and it's a big change. Risk matters, and emergency response matters. There's a lot to say here, not just from that, even the parking. 48 people on a dead-end road. It's if you sat in the cockpit like I do, we're in that curve and we have a good view. Our yard continuously gets tore up because people turn around in our yard. They back their trailers up in that empty space out there that is a big hangout. It's going to become a bigger hangout if this happens. Parking. If Airbnbs come, what are people going to have when they come to those spots? Boats. They're going to have trailers that they're going to need to park somewhere. And from what I can see by the pictures, it's going to be chaos. But my biggest concern is that we need to take a hard look, y'all, at what's going on here. I'm all for building houses, and I'm all for community. The culture would radically change, I hope. I want to answer the question about the Airbnb possibilities. If you do it, I beg you make covenants. If it happens to get passed, which it don't need to, but if it happens to, covenants without Airbnbs would be a must to keep a safe environment for our family. I mean, we would have to make some dramatic decisions about how we're gonna protect our home with all that traffic. Like I said, our yard continuously gets tore up. We've had to, not once has anybody offered to help us pay for our house because drunks that went to jail from hitting the house didn't pay. Anyway, I think that's about it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you much.
So Jeremy,
Yes.
when it comes to risk management, how does that go? When it comes to a risk assessment, just
So, I mean, I'm assuming well, we're gonna make sure whenever houses get built, you know, condos get built, you're gonna have to have fire department make sure they can protect it, build to code of if it requires suppression systems. Before permits are issued. Before permits are issued. So, but as per police, I mean, it's part of the police patrol now.
okay.
And though we refer to drunks or whatever else, we do not allow
Right.
drinking and driving in Bay St. Louis.
Oh. Hold on. What was your question again?
Oh, I'm sorry. And then just not to say, but this is not just this project. It's any project. If somebody builds a bulkhead, anything that revolves DNR, you have to somebody in Bay St. Louis, people who lived on the street, they go to Miss DMR to get the DMR permit and then come to a building department. They go do that first. They trump Bay St. Louis building department.
I just went through that. That's why I was curiously that.
We're treating everybody the same.
All right. All right. So I think this is Dale Earhart. Gail. Sorry. Hi.
I have property in the 1700 block of Blue Meadow across where those condos would come out. I'm highly opposed to those condos. It's a quiet, single-family area with the dead end coming around it. The 4 single homes would be all right. But to have all those condos coming out there, it's just going to be a mess. And it's a nice family, all single-family homes around there. I can't see all these 28 condominiums being there. And I also like to know, I didn't think that property was that wide there. Are they going to be filling it in to extend that property?
Right.
Because it looks marshy, looks like wetlands up in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't look like enough land to add all those condominiums.
Right.
But I just want to state that I'm highly opposed to the condominiums.
Alrighty. Thank you. Giddings Emery? Yeah. Can you say your name?
Giddings Emery. I live at 1792 Blue Meadow. I'm highly opposed to the condominiums. The houses I'm fine with. We're missing the point of the WF1. Under the rules, the intent of WF1 district is to offer a variety of mixed uses, allowing residential, commercial, and public access. So the ordinance writers were thinking some type of public water use here, a marina, a bait shop, a restaurant. I'm fine with all that. I am totally against all these condominiums. I looked on Google Earth, and within a quarter mile of this property, there's only 26 houses, which are probably 30% permanent residents like myself. So the addition of all these units is gonna more than double our density in the area. Yes, we enjoy a very quiet street, and that's part of why I moved there. So I'm opposed. I'd be willing to entertain other things, other rezonings, but no, I'm against the condominiums in the special district. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Jim Simpson. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. Jeremy, can you read the 2 letters that we have?
Let's see.
had something you wanted to share.
Let me go
Yeah,
read these
hold
letters
on. Wait.
of
we're gonna
opposition
go
real
ahead.
quick.
No, come on.
Oh.
We're gonna go ahead and let him do it. Okay.
Okay, so this, it does not have an address on this, but this letter is regarding to the planning and zoning condition agenda on March 11th, 2026, wherein the planning commission will be considering an application of Greystone Development Group in their special, for their special use district. We own the property at 1855 Blue Meadow Road in Bay St. Louis. While we do not object to the single-family portion of the development, we vehemently oppose the construction of 14 raised condo duplexes on the property. These units will be built on a lot significantly smaller than the existing requirements. They will create a burden to the existing infrastructure and increase traffic exponentially on a narrow 2-lane road. Additionally, this project would eliminate some existing natural wetlands and significantly increase already dense river traffic. This could potentially be dangerous to the existing property owners on Blue Meadow, as well as families utilizing the river for outings and leisure activities. The WF1 waterfront zoning district designate should be kept pristine and beautiful. Therefore, we kindly ask that you consider our opposition to the multifamily portion of this development. And it is Murphy and Rachel May Jana, but that is, they're at 1855 Blue Meadow. And then this is Gail. Is this your, oh, okay. Gail Russell, did you? Okay. Commissioners, we own the property at 1845 Blue Meadow Road for over 20 years and feel the proposed development of the adjacent properties as requested by Greystone Development Group LLC will negatively impact us as well as all current property owners in the area near the end of Blue Meadow Road. We do not oppose the 4 single-family units to propose, but strongly oppose the reduced lot sizes for the 3 condo sites that would have a total of 28 residential units for the following reasons. 1, Blue Meadow Road is extremely narrow, dead-end road with limited capability and constrained shoulders with stormwater ditches. Other than access to residential properties, people use it for jogging, pet walking, and bicycling. Residential or recreational use of the road will be curtailed due to the increased traffic from the 28 units. The additional traffic has the potential to congest the narrow flow of vehicles and impact emergency responses to locations further down Blue Meadow Road. 2, organic compounds in the soil of typical yards retard and movement of the common household hazard chemicals such as pesticides, herbicides, petroleum products. Reduce in lot sizes at the condo sites will increase the concentration of stormwater contaminants entering Watts Bayou and St. Louis Bay, impact surface water, sediment, and marine life. 3, each of the 28 residential units at the condo site will create a boat slip, thus increasing local boat traffic. For waterfront homeowners, this means additional erosion and potential boat damage from more wakes. Additional boat traffic will impact current recreational uses, fishing, skiing, paddleboarding, and kayaking, and wildlife in Watts Bayou and St. Louis Bay. While development is expected in growing communities such as our, development must be constant with establishing zoning principles rather than reshaping them through exceptions-based approach. We feel that this development is allowing it to completely change the character of our community. For the above reasons, we respectfully request the commission deny the request reducing lot size for the 3 condo sites and instead adequate spacing single-family houses for this property. Winston and Gail Russell.
Alrighty. Come on up.
Ma'am, I will try to be brief, and I don't mean to be brief as to people's legitimate questions. I just will try to be respectful of time. I'm blessed that the objectors here were it was a little easier than it was for Malcolm, and I appreciate that. For Mr. Butler's question, absolutely everybody's got to do the same thing for DMR. And you brought back memories when I was a lot younger. My dad used to bring his boat over from the pass, and there was a boat yard somewhere right around this area that he used to put it up where he used to paint the bottom. I hope it was your area. I don't know what to say. But that brings back dear memories. I remember. Okay. Miss Bush had
Okay.
it's probably bottom paint.
All right.
Miss Bush had a concern about the code department keeping up with the work. That's a concern every city has. But I mean, relatively speaking, this is a small development compared to 60 or 70 or 80 homes that are going. I mean, there's lots going on in the city, and I think they'll be able to keep up with this development just as well as they will anyone else. Certainly, my experience is when the code departments can't keep up, what happens? Permits don't get issued. You just have to wait. It's not a question you go without them. You just wait on them, and that's understandable. A lot of people, Mr. Elkins, I think Whaling, I hope I didn't get that wrong. They object to the condos and all, and everybody has the same problem. People don't object to the houses for the most part. They do object to the condos. I understand that. Ms. Dawson has a lot of problems, but none of the problems that she talked about were exacerbated or caused by or related to this project. They were related to the canal near her place and dredging and all, but they weren't objections caused by or this development can't fix them or make them work. They're just out there, and I sympathize with her. Mr. Johnson had a problem, and let me say this. I don't know if you've been out there, but if you go out Blue Meadow Road and go to the very end where those people that have those homes, they're beautiful homes. They're big, nice homes. Somebody not me, somebody described them as $1 million homes. That wouldn't surprise me a bit. But I can't afford $1 million home. And ladies and gentlemen, most of us can't. And most people don't. And the idea that these condos could be built that would allow for your development plan to be achieved, for people to have access to the water and do things in the water, and that you don't have to be a millionaire to get out there is something that should be thought about. And everybody can't build $1 million home, and that's just not what the intent of your zoning ordinance is, respectfully. There's no plan. There's no plan to make Airbnb projects out here, and Airbnb projects are, as far as I know, strictly regulated and controlled by your city anyway. We're not asking for anything to have anything about that. Let me say this: the risk assessments and the other issues. Of course, people that invest this kind of money in property do risk assessments, or their insurance companies do it. Everybody looks at it. Everybody looks at these things, and just as this planning commission has a critical role, a vital gatekeeper role, the police department has a role, and the fire department has a role, and the engineering, the municipal engineer's office has a role. The Department of Marine Resources has a role. All of these people are involved. They all have a role, and they all have to bless anything that happens. No one thing gets permitted unless everybody signs off on it. Just because you guys allow this does not mean the DMR is going to say yes as to anything. All of those things have to go. So this developer, these people don't ask for anything special from any of them. They're going to go through the same things that everybody else is. Mr. Emery did say one thing, and I need to agree with him. It's true. Waterfront 1 does say varieties and marinas and bait shops and restaurants with bars and all kinds of other things you can put out there. Yeah, it does contemplate that, but we don't. And we don't think that's what we should build out there. We don't want to build that out there. What we want to build and really what everybody's objecting to pretty much is what's already allowed. The condos are already allowed. Our change will not make that any worse. It will make it better. It will make sure we don't have some of those other things that nobody wants, and it will further restrict and limit what's happening there. So I respect everybody's position. I understand their concerns. But we can't all have $1 million houses out there, and we think this fits with the development plan. So unless the board has a question, I'll take a seat.
Does anybody from the commission have a question?
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna move to a vote. Go ahead.
Leslie Williams, 1851 Blue Meadow Road. I just have a couple pointers. So just this week with the construction, there's been 3 houses that have been built in the 19 years that I've been there. The road at the dog end used to not flood. It now floods in 2 areas where the people on closest Stewart, they offer us all the time to come park our vehicles up there. I don't know how bringing in more dirt is going to solve that problem. Because of the constructions on this narrow road, I don't know if y'all are familiar how narrow it is. But just this week, construction workers were working on the house and we couldn't even pull in a utility trailer into our driveway. The construction worker saw us struggling and moved his vehicle, and we took it off the hitch and walked it into the driveway. Those are my concerns, is the flooding and the traffic.
All right, thank you. All right. One more thing.
The big thing what she just said is so vital. The big thing she just said is so vital, y'all. There's no turnaround at the end of that road. This is huge because people will come with boats. Our house is the turnaround spot. They back across our driveway, tractor trailers included. I know y'all ain't gonna have tractor trailers over there, and I get that, but if the condo thing becomes what we believe it will, and I've heard so many testimonies from the people in Destin about this, it's a big deal. And we will have mass amounts of people turning around in our driveway. We already do. Anyway, I just wanted to close with that. The end of Blue Meadow, there's no turnaround. A boat, trailer, or anybody else will have to back up across our driveway. And more often than not, they take it across our yard. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Let's bring it to a vote. All those opposed or for? Make a motion. What is it?
You need a motion.
Yeah, a motion, my bad. Thank you. A motion.
You getting tired?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to deny.
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All righty. Deny. Thank you. All right, we're gonna move on to 318 Easterbrook Reigns. You, Jeremy?
What?
Thank you, Mr. Simpson.
I'm just gonna go build some restaurants. Double the condos.
He knows to go to
Oh, Mr. Simpson, next council meeting is Tuesday, March 17th.
It'll be presented.
Yeah.
You know, even though
It's denied, yeah, so they will hear.
So you're familiar with
Oh,
No,
I'm gonna proceed.
thank you.
it goes.
Thank you for reminding me.
next
It's just been
Tuesday
a-
to city council. Give me- give me a
tough place to be, man. Thanks for the last, no turnaround. Can you imagine all the trucks going in your yard?
All right, so we got 1, 2, 3 more.
All right.
Applicate.
Hold on.
All
Let's
right.
bring it back.
All right, application Rains. Application for variance to zoning ordinance submitted by Will Rains. The applicant is requesting a 3-foot variance resulting in a 17-foot rear yard setback. The property is located at 318 Easterbrook Street. The property is zoned R2 single family residential. This house exists today. Mr. Raines purchased it. The lot it sits on Easterbrook Street is only 84 foot deep. All the lots on that side of the road, on the 300 block at Easterbrook Street, are 84 foot deep. So a majority of the rear yards of these are closer than 20 foot already. The property owner is not going to tear down the house. They're actually renovating it, but they submitted what the rendering the floor plan's going to be, but they're just adding some, I guess, new bedroom and deck on the back, and it's going to encroach 3 foot on there. Administration recommends to approve the variance.
All right, Mr. Raines, or your representative, would you like to come up, please? Briefly, well, introduce yourself, or Amy, or, okay. And briefly, just kind of fill in where Jeremy left off.
Hey, good evening. I'm Will Raines, and we're asking for this this variance, for the reasons outlined. I don't want to keep y'all it's almost bedtime, Anyway, I'll let him.
So we've already been through historic and contingency been approved. We're doing a full facelift, but the house as it is remaining. The footprint is going to remain existing, except for we're doing a carport addition on the right side, but all that will meet the setbacks. What's happening is this will allow us to have a master suite. If we could just come over a couple feet for the rear setback line, we will not, there's already an existing deck back there as it is. We will not be interfering with the tree in any way. We won't even have to trim the tree, all the roof lines and such. It's just the porch will be underneath the branches. So we don't foresee any issues with that. So.
Alrighty.
If there's any questions.
And
did you receive elevations too?
Yeah, it's in there, what
Okay.
it looks like.
Did the commission have any questions?
No.
So far? Okay, I'm gonna get you guys to sit down. I do want to specify, Mr. Cliff, can you tell us, like, what does historic actually approve when it comes to these sites? Just so we'll have a clear indication about that.
Cliff Rabelais, Chairman of the Historic Preservation Commission. What we look at is, in the historic district, primarily the facade, but the overall exterior appearance of a house, the type of materials that are allowed and used. We do not allow vinyl siding. We are particular about the type of roofing materials used, and the site placement within the historic district. Typically, we don't tell them where they have to set, but it is part of our purview that it needs to be consistent with the area. Now, when things come to us and we notice that you may have a variance requirement, we generally mention that, but we also mention that they have to get that permit, and that variance, that we, as a historic commission, do not give variances for setbacks. Side setbacks, height setbacks, we don't, even though it is in our ordinance, the height. But generally speaking, we do not dictate colors. But we do dictate the materials and the appearance, and we have turned down designs that were, I'm going to use the word chrome and glass appearance, because it's not in keeping with the historic district. But that is what we do. We do not say yes or no to setback and zoning, those variances requests.
All right, thank you, Mr. Cliff.
ma'am.
So we have a few people signed up. Sharon Alexander. Please state your name and your address, please.
Sharon Alexander, 316 Easterbrook. I'm like right next door, on that corner lot. If they're adding to the back of the house, that's gonna be right on that fence line. Cause like they said, the fence on that back part, it's not that much space back there
Okay.
on that property, so, you know, I mean, where they gonna go?
So
Hold on.
let them go do it, but I think they have. It appears. Well, let them go say
Well, wait,
what it's sitting
is
at.
that,
Yeah.
is that the only question that you had, or?
Oh, and is this gonna be residential, or y'all trying to do an Airbnb?
Okay. Alrighty. And then,
Just to be clear, the variance is for 3 feet, it'll be 17 away.
Yeah, it'll be 17 feet away from the.
Not
the-
20.
Instead of 20 foot, there'd be 17. Yeah.
okay.
And there's 20 out of 24 that meet that same criteria.
Yeah, like-
in that,
Yeah.
that survey.
They have some properties on that
On the
block
line.
that are
Yeah.
2 foot away from their backyard.
Or 0. There were several with 0.
Probably over the property line, actually.
What is it? Alrighty, so, the next person is Anita Warner.
Oh shoot, they have protect. I forgot to attach the protection how they're gonna do the tree.
Yes, they have a wonderful
Wait,
drawing on how to,
wait.
Anita Warner on behalf of Live Oak Registry, they have a very nice drawing on how to protect an oak tree. And that's something we should use for all our oak trees when we're doing, and they are doing this to protect the oak tree, so in favor.
Alrighty, thank you. Is there anybody else signed up to, or wants to speak on this matter? No? Okay, Mr. Raines? I will say, before we say everything else, really liked everything that you detailed out, you know? That was,
Well, you gotta
Yeah.
be prepared when you come here.
yeah, no,
Or-
and this
or you'll
is
get-
so unusual.
get chewed out the
So,
door with
but
Brunk,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. But is there anything that you guys wanted to share before we move to a motion?
I think for the record, to address her question, because it was, into the microphone, we will be 17 feet away from the rear property line, and that's just the shortest distance. That's just a portion of the building that would be that distance. Everything else would be more than that. We were not gonna be the variance is for 3 feet, we're not 3 feet away from the rear fence, we're 17 feet away from the rear fence.
Okay.
And as Jeremy stated, the majority of houses along the street, I think Mr. Raines provided you
Yeah,
a
it is.
diagram, are, none of them conform to the setback.
Yeah, I did a deep dive study on, I guess, the whole 300 and 400 block of Estabrook, or Easterbrook, whenever they were developing it, who knows? They said, yeah, let's make skinny lots or shallow lots, and literally every home is over their setback. It could be a front, a side, some kind of way. And then even across the street, 319 at Easterbrook just got a recent addition. Could provide a picture of that.
And if everyone, I mean, I'm sure she knows, but everyone who lives on Estabrook, this is known as the crack house. Like, this has been in disrepair for
Okay.
many, many years. It's been broken into
Yeah.
since Mr. Raines even purchased the property. So it's our intent, the end goal at the end of the day, is to get this back looking like a nice residence, and it's, a safer spot for the neighborhood. Because I know the neighbors expressed some concern when we were at Historic about the condition of that the house has been in.
Alrighty.
So, yeah, we intend to make it a really pretty home, and I like, everybody, Amy does a great job with her design. We're trying to add value to the neighborhood. That's the end
That's
goal
intent
here,
at the
you
end
know,
of the
so-
day, is to get
Okay.
this place a little bit safer.
All right, well, let's move to a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Alrighty,
All right.
motion to approve.
Let's see where we at next. Gale, application for variance to zoning ordinance submitted by Stephanie Gale. The applicant requests a 5-foot 3-inch variance resulting in a 2-foot 9-inch setback to the side yard of the property. The property is located at 304 Valentine Street. The property is zoned R2 single-family residential. So this house currently exists. From understanding, the Gales bought it last year. They would like to currently, they have 2 phases to it, add a attached carport, and then eventually add on to a master bedroom and bath in there. But that being said, the house was purchased last year. The position of the dwelling, wrong one. Sorry. The parcel is 55 feet wide. The house was constructed within the last 10 years in a detached car, and just for note, a detached carport could be 5 foot from the property line. The administration recommends to deny the variance. Whenever the house was constructed, it probably, it's not an old home. It's within the last 10 years. It probably should have been considered that way. So it just be too close to the property line. So we recommend to deny it.
All right, is Miss Gale here? Hi. Can you briefly tell us about your home?
Hi, yes, I'm Stephanie Gale, 304 Ballantyne, and I would like to add an attached garage. I bought this house in June of this past year. I know my neighbors, and I have a letter from them saying they have no objection to me being that close to the property line on either side. And that's really it. I love the house. I want a place to put all my stuff. And it would look nice. It would look like it belonged on the house. It wouldn't look like it was built to be there. So it would be attached to the house, not away from it. And that's it.
So did you recently get this home? How long have you had this home?
Yes, ma'am. I got it in June of this 2025.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody in our commission have a few questions?
Are you able to get around that tree?
I can get around the tree. Yes,
Okay.
that was my
How many
my
feet
first.
is that? Is that about 18 feet or so from the fence corner to the house?
Something like that. I don't
You
have
built
the.
a garage? I was
Yes.
trying to figure it.
Yes.
The tree.
But that's what yes, that was my biggest concern, that I could put it there and get around without hurting the tree. And I've had an arborist out to look to make sure that the tree's healthy, because I was worried about it. And he said, yes, that putting a aggregate like rock driveway beside it would not hurt the tree.
Someone local? Who was your arborist?
He came from here. I called up, and I wasn't here when he came, but he called and talked to me, and that's been right after I bought the house.
Okay.
But that was one of the reasons I wanted the house, was because of the tree.
Okay. Anybody else in our commission have any other questions? Or Mr. Romano, did you have anything else?
Would y'all like to see this letter from my neighbor saying?
Yes, please. No, never mind.
That's the side of the variance I'm asking for. That's the backyard and the other side.
That's the neighbor to your right, you saying?
Yes, the one on the side of the variance where I'm asking.
Okay. I'm gonna briefly read this. Dear Commissioners, thank you for hearing my petition. I have personally spoken to my neighbors and have received their consent for building. They have no obligations to side variance and have signed below at my request. Please accept.
No objection? Does it say objection?
I have no objections, to the side variance, and have signed below at my request. Please accept this as their consent. Thank you for your time and commitment to our beautiful city. Respectfully, Stephanie Gale. And everyone who signed was Cynthia Coles. Jay Coles, and Carolyn Applebaum, and Michael Applebaum. So, yeah. Okay. let me let you have a seat. We do have someone signed up as well. Miss Anita Warner.
Anita Warner, 417 Third. I'm very familiar with this property. I object to a granting of the variance. When the lady bought the property, she knew what she was buying. And the fact that now she wants to add something to it with no good reason other than I want to have a garage for a place to put all my stuff, I don't think that's enough to do. And the fact that one neighbor here or one neighbor there might not object, well, what if somebody objects later on? That's why we have ordinances. When we had the big meeting last week, Tad, who was on the council back in the day, said after Katrina, they took the side requirements from 10 feet down to 8. Don't need to grant it in this case, and I have concerns about the tree. Particularly if you put any kind of pavement, you're gonna have to have an apron that's concrete that will probably impact the tree. So I'm opposed. Thank you.
Alrighty. Ms. Gill, well, 1 minute. Does anybody else in the audience have any comments about this case? Alrighty. Ms. Gill, if you want to come back up. So my only question is, what would you say your hardship is with this? Because that's kind of like the basis of a variance, you know? So would you say that you have a hardship in this matter?
No.
Not really.
No, I love the house. I'd like to make it better.
All right. I'm gonna move to a motion.
Motion to deny?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion to deny.
And once it goes back for, recommendation still goes for planning, or
No,
city council on.
March 17th
March
at
17th
5:30.
at 5:30.
Thank you. Alrighty, we're moving on to 120 Citizen Streets. Jeremy?
Oh, finally, let's see. Gilead, application for special exception and variance to zoning ordinance submitted by Betty Gilead. The applicant is requesting a special exception to allow accessory dwelling on a lot that's under 15,000 square feet. The parcel total is 12,997 square feet, which a variance of 2,003 square feet from the required minimum lot size. The applicant is also requesting a variance of 5 foot to the side yard, resulting in a 3 foot side yard setback, and a variance of 12 feet, resulting in a setback of 8 foot to the rear yard. I'm sorry. The applicant is requesting a variance of 5 foot, resulting in a variance of 3 foot. So a variance of 3 foot resulting in a 5 foot side yard setback, and a variance of 8 foot resulting in a 12 foot rear yard setback to the accessory dwelling. The property is located at 120 Citizen, zoned R1 single family. Though it was published the way it was, since it's not as big, it'll still be fine to go do it. So, let's see where we at. Zoning letter. I guess I didn't update it for the one printed out, but obviously they need a variance to lot size because you have to have special exception regardless, but normally 15,000 is the minimum lot size for special for accessory dwellings, and then accessory dwellings need to meet the same setbacks as a house, which is 8 foot on side yard, 20 on the rear. So just some facts. Accessory dwellings are common in the neighborhood. The position of the accessory dwelling is a result of the positions of the protected trees that are on the property. It did go before planning and zoning as a whole to review. They were okay with the design of it, except,
Didn't go through planning and zoning.
I mean,
here.
I'm sorry, historical, and they said it was fine as long as it's zoning approval. An accessory dwelling is allowed by special exception, but a accessory structure being a garage, shed, or carport would be allowed by right in the position of where it is right now. That being said, the recommendation from the administration is to deny the special exception and the variance. And I think Mr. Garcia is the one that's gonna be presenting.
Briefly, please.
I'm gonna go quick. My name's Garrett Garcia. I'm the builder on the project, Garcia and Son Development. So just to start quick, I know it seems like a lot when you hear it on paper. I think y'all have the full set of plans, full site built, everything being built. When Amy Dosher did the drawings on this project, and it took almost a year to do, the trees and staying with the area, the neighborhood was key to them. They had requirements. They got elderly family that comes in town, their kids. This was a forever home. It's not going to be rented out. You can notice where the pool is, where the cottage is, where everything's shared porches. So it was more of, the option was not to build a big, tall structure elevated on pilings, to make it where it was a small cottage in the back and then a bigger cottage in the front, so they could have the amount of bedrooms that they needed and access for the family to have the weekends that they wanted to have here. I think they have achieved it. If you look at the drawings, it's pretty incredible. I am also about to start building the house right behind it, which just came in front of y'all, that you approved 2 accessory structures. One of them had a kitchen in it. So only one's being asked for here. So I don't.
What were those?
It had a garage and a pool house with a kitchen.
No, but do you know those addresses? Just
It was Tom Bonner.
Is it 302?
703 Hancock. Is that Citizen?
Hancock.
Yeah.
okay.
So, I guess what I'm getting at, it's I wish everybody could see the full picture of it, because, protecting the trees was the biggest thing, when the project was started. You know, trying to utilize, there's actually 6 huge live oaks on the property, and we will be protecting them when we build them. Miss Anita knows it's the first thing we do. We put up fences. We put fences up to protect them. So I'll be happy to ask any questions. He hit on some points. You know, if it doesn't pass and gets denied, I hate to see what we have to build. I mean, it's just, you know, there'll be a garage back in that corner closer to the property line, which I know one wants, and there's gonna be a big, tall structure to get more square footage. So, I hope it passes. I think it's, you know, they're gonna get me to build something either way, so I'm not pushing for you to pass it. But I think this would really be a huge asset to the community.
Alrighty, thank you. Did anybody from the commission have any questions so far? No.
So there's a letter here, but the
Yeah.
person who wrote the letter is here, so
Right.
she's gonna read the letter.
Okay, but wait, hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. All right, we do have a few people signed up. Before we get to you, Miss Monty, we do have somebody else ahead of you, Darlene McGarry.
Thank you, Mrs. Brown, and the commission. I'm Darlene McGarry. My address is 127 Washington Street, and I also will be, in a few weeks, the owner of 115 Citizen Street, directly across the street from the side of the house. I know they're asking for a lot of variances, and I respect that they've designed a beautiful home and are respecting the beautiful oaks and the beauty of Bay St. Louis and the area, and that's why my husband and I have purchased homes there for us and our children. And my main concern is the 2 parallel parking pads, which are gonna be directly across the street from 115 Citizen and the driveway. There are no parallel parking pads in the area. It's a skinny street. You can't hardly fit 2 cars. If you start parallel parking cars on that street, there's no way that you're gonna be able, the safety of opening car doors and being in the middle of the street
and affecting backing out of the driveway, and having cars parked across the street and having to deal with that, I find is an issue, and I think that's something that Mr. Garcia maybe could figure a new design or moving those paths. But that's my main issue, is the parallel parking and the look of what the rest of the block in that area looks like. Everyone has driveways and garages, and there is a garage in the front of the house, so I would feel that something could be designed and worked out. But as it stands now, I do not agree with the way the plan is.
Thank you. All right. Miss Kathleen Monty, please.
Good evening, I'm Kathleen Monty, 105 Sycamore Street, and this application for, I'm gonna read this, I'm sorry, I can't make eye contact, I can't read and do that at the same time, sorry. No disrespect. This application for a special exception to allow an accessory dwelling on a lot under 15,000 square feet and for a variance to 2,003 square feet from the required 15,000 square foot minimum lot size must be denied by the Planning and Zoning Commission and the City Council because, as per the current zoning code of Bay St. Louis, an accessory dwelling is only allowed on a lot of more than 15,000 square feet. This 15,000 square foot requirement is stated in section 1002.6.b, accessory dwelling. Nothing else in this section even hints at the possibility of a parcel smaller than 15,000 square feet being allowed to build an accessory dwelling. This 15,000 square foot minimum lot size is the gold standard that the city is required to enforce. In the chart of uses, in section 623.2, uses requiring special exceptions, it specifically states, quote, special exceptions must meet the criteria defined in section 1305.2 to be approved. So, end quote. So, what exactly does section 1305.2.b.5, sorry, I gotta do that, special exception says? What does it say? It specifically states, quote, the proposed use will be placed on a lot of sufficient size to satisfy the space requirements of said use, end quote. The accessory dwelling proposed use on the Gilliatt parcel does not meet the required 15,000 square foot minimum lot size for special exception consideration, and therefore it would be in direct violation of the city's own building code if this application is approved. Additionally, to ask for a 2,003 square foot variance, quote unquote, to circumvent the 15,000 square foot requirement is prohibited by our current zoning ordinance. As stated in the variance section 1305.3.h, quote, the variance is not a request to permit a use of land, building, or structure which is not permitted by right or by special exception in the district involved, end quote. Their variance request is not allowed as per the city's zoning ordinance. I have opposed accessory dwelling applications on undersized lots for years at P&Z and city council meetings because I feel like this is one of the goalposts in our ordinance that should never be moved. Regardless of whatever good reason someone might have for wanting an accessory dwelling, the reality is that it contributes to unnecessary density and traffic in our neighborhoods if allowed on smaller lots. You may counter that the proposed BSL 2045 zoning ordinance, if approved, will allow accessory dwellings on smaller lots. Well, in case you haven't been watching the public comments at the recent Ward 1 town hall meeting, or our city council workshop and public comments meetings, let me assure you that our residents are overwhelmingly against smaller lots and greater densities in our neighborhoods.
Allowing accessory dwellings on lots smaller than 15,000 square feet only adds to unnecessary greater density in our neighborhoods and streets. Hopefully, the second draft of BSL 2045 will delete all allowances for smaller lots and revert back to the 15,000 square foot minimum lot, which is what the residents have asked to be done. And also, this is not in what I had in my letter, but, and I'm not familiar with what Garrett was referring to, but if he was referring to a garage and something else being on, those are accessory structures, not dwellings. Correct?
That is correct, ma'am.
It is totally different from what you're being asked to do today.
Thank you.
I respectfully ask that you please deny this application and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Because we have this in here, and I like to specify, so when it says accessory dwelling design, historic approved what? Because we need to have it specified.
Cliff Rabelais, Chairman of the Historic Preservation Commission. Yes, we did look at this, and the accessory structure / dwelling had to match in form and shape and appearance to the primary house.
Right.
That is what we approved. It was noted, and I think I'd have to look at it again, but that if it were a structure, then I think the setbacks are what we actually looked at. We did not look at what Ms. Kathleen was talking about, the total square footage, but the setbacks, I think, would be okay if it were a structure, but not as a dwelling. Now,
You have that.
but regardless, once again, we will say that the roof has to match the house. The siding needs to match the house. The type of windows, the type of doors, the appearance that it's going to show in the historic district needs to be consistent with the area and specifically in new construction with the new house,
Whether it's a structure or a dwelling.
regardless of the structure or dwelling. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes, ma'am.
Cliff. Miss Anita?
Anita Warner, 417 3rd Street, Chair of Live Oak. I know Garrett personally. He built my house. I'm familiar with Amy. I am very thrilled that they are going to protect the trees. At the same time, I was here last week when we had the city workshop, and people don't want more density. That is the one thing that came out from everybody who spoke practically, don't want more density. So that's my, I have a problem with it.
Thank you, Miss Anita. Give me 1 second. Jeremy, can you read the letter from Linda
Yes.
Newell?
Lynn Newell. I'm the owner of the property at 121 Citizen, which shares a side lot with the captured property. The property in question is 33 feet by 123 feet. The owner requests a variance of 5-foot side yard setback and a 12-foot rear yard setback will result in 3-foot side yard setback. 3-foot side yard, 8 foot is required, and a 8-foot setback where required by 20. I vigorously object to the variance. It will not simply wish to fudge a little on the requirement. It is a full-fledged flouncing of the rules. It will bring a structure so close to my property, making it resemble Metairie more than Bay St. Louis. In addition, there is ancient registered live oaks that partially on my property, partly on the property in question. The owner on the property adjacent to mine on Washington has already conducted unpermitted pruning on the tree. Should the variance be granted, it will further endanger the trees as foundations for the building will inevitably impact the roots. Linda Newell. And then once again, as I stated there, I had the numbers transposed in it, but the variance is not going to be it's going to be a 3-foot side yard setback instead of a 5, and then a 8 foot instead of 12.
Alrighty, thank you. You can come up.
So the lady that sent that letter, she got the wrong variances, number
Yeah.
one. And she's not, her property does not touch this property.
Yeah, that was.
She's across the street.
So they're at this is 120 at the corner.
Yeah.
This one is the across, if you walk across Citizen Street, this would be her property.
So I built the house that butts this property on Citizen Street, who is actually gonna get directly affected by it. I didn't think this was gonna be a big deal. I should have got them to come or get a letter to the Sanders. They're okay with it. What they don't want is the other option. So density, I get, and everything's wrote to have variances. There's always gonna be someone who needs something that's different. That's why we're here. You know, so density is not a question. They're gonna have their kids there and their in-laws there every weekend, whether they have a guest cottage or they got a proposed residence. What we're saying is, if we go the other route, you're gonna have a big garage 5 foot from the property line on both sides, closer, and you're gonna have a big structure that doesn't look like this. So this is more of a cosmetic decision than I think, and I just hope, I know that you don't really take those things into effect, you know, you're looking at feet, setbacks, but you're looking at a full scale plan of this whole property. So I hope you take that in effect in this project. And as far as the side parking spaces, I don't see an issue taking that out. I mean, we can say we can take it out. I will say the city of Bay St. Louis actually has an ordinance that I just found out, the hard way on,
You have to have an 8-foot apron.
on Citizen, no,
No, on
Sycamore Street.
Yeah.
So you have to have a parking spot, has to be completely on your property. So this parking spot would be on the property. It would have to be big enough to open doors, so the doors do not go beyond your property line. So in this situation, yeah, your vehicle would be parked inside your fence. You're still gonna have the complete easement. So, in future, that is, you know, taking it out's not an issue, but the city does regulate that. And once again, we found out the hard way. So, and there was no argument. I mean, I understand, rules are rules. So, but I appreciate it. I hope y'all, accept it, and I think it'd be a huge asset to the community. Thank you.
Mr. Benfatti?
Mark Benfatti, I'm 128 Washington, but I own the property next door at 701 Hancock Street. So my backyard would be up against this backyard, but I don't have any problems with it. Every time I've worked with Amy, they do a beautiful job. We just building 2 on Hancock, Garrett's building 2, plus, you know, it's gonna be a great little neighborhood. I don't know if 3 feet is the end of the world. And, you know, you could take that 1,000 square feet or whatever that accessory is and make the house bigger. I mean, it's the same amount of square footage. It's just separate. So I'm sure they have kids and grandkids and they want to put them in that separate structure. So I'm next door and I don't have any problem.
Alrighty, does our commission have any comments?
Nope. I'll make a motion to approve.
And just so the record reflects that we are approving, so it's besides special, that the variance request is a 3-foot side yard variance and an 8-foot rear yard variance. No, 3-foot side yard variance resulting in 5 foot.
And then you have 8 feet in the back.
12-foot rear yard variance.
12 year, yes.
So-
Your 5 and your 3 flipped only.
Gotcha, okay. So it'd be a motion to have a 3-foot side yard variance and a 12-foot rear yard variance. Yeah.
An exception of 8 and 3.
Yeah, so the rear yard as stated, you know, it's fine. So the side yard that's gonna be along Citizen Street, it's gonna be 5 foot instead of 3 that was originally printed. It'll be 5 foot.
Yes.
Alright,
So I make a motion to approve.
So,
all those in favor?
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
Alright, 3-1. It passes. Alright, next council meeting is March 17th at 5:30.
all right, last one.
More.
What? Man, you know, happened to be when you're the last one to submit your application.
That's the last one?
Yeah.
Could be.
Thompson, application for variance to zoning ordinance submitted by Mary Thompson. The applicant requests a variance of 2 foot resulting in a 23-foot setback to the front yard, a variance of 11 feet 8 inches resulting in a setback of, a variance of 11 feet 8 feet to the rear yard resulting in 8 foot 4 inch rear yard, and a variance of 1 foot 6 inches resulting in a 6 foot 6 inch side yard to construct a new dwelling at 128 Sycamore Street. It's single family, R1 single family. So this, and I spoke to Mary last week. So the plans are attached to here. So I'm going to start with the side yard variance. The only thing that's in the side yard that needs a variance is the chimney. Well, she requested a side yard variance, but I went and looked at her, and I did not, but when she put the application in, a chimney, if it does not protrude over, I forgot, a third or whatever else, does actually not need a side yard variance. So she would need the side yard variance. The front yard variance, which would be of 2 foot, there'd be no living space as in it. It would just actually be the covered porch, which counts part of your side yard, but it'd actually just be the covered porch. The rear yard variance would be, if you look at the plans, the conditioned storage that's on the back of that garage. So, administration says, according to plans, planning is the side yard is for the chimney and fireplace. Front yard is just the front porch, no living space in the front, just the roof for the porch. And then the rear yard will have a garage and a storage room in it. Based on the plans submitted, all the living space of the house would be within the setbacks. Administration recommends the approve the variances. Now, one caveat is the way that she submitted her plans, and it kind of be the same thing with, I guess, the last one. She has a conditioned storage on the back of the property. If the variance for the rear yard is denied, that would go, but also she could have a detached accessory structure, a shed, that's 5 foot from each. And then the porch, I mean, it's all up to y'all. It's just going to be the porch area, I guess, just have lit one. And then the side yard, the way it's presented, I would recommend to deny, because if all it is a chimney, that doesn't need a variance. The zoning allows just a chimney in there. There's actually no living on there. With the applicants here.
Alrighty, Miss Mary Thompson, come on up.
My name is Mary Thompson. I currently live in Austin, but I'm planning to build a house in Sycamore.
Okay.
So, and he said everything completely. There's no living in it. It's just that Christmas decoration storage in the back of the garage.
And a bigger front porch.
A bigger front porch so I can have a swing.
Okay.
A porch swing.
Alrighty. We do have somebody signed up, Chris Goran.
That is my new backdoor neighbor.
Okay. Alrighty, and then Miss Anita signed up, but I don't think she's with us.
She left.
Okay.
I've been living there are no trees.
Okay, well,
it's just a barren lot.
Are you gonna plant some trees?
I actually.
All right, so let's make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, motion passes.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, and then the next planning and zoning meeting
It's
is
March 17th.
No,
it's
it's
5:30.
March 15th.
I'm talking about council meeting because you still have to go through council. so
Okay.
March 17th. I mean,
It's,
Probably.
have somebody here in case there's a question,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, it's best to be there.
it doesn't matter. It's America.
all right.
Next planning and zoning. is
The
when?
next planning and zoning, it's the second Tuesday is the week after Easter, so we're gonna actually do it April 15th.
Ooh, tax day.
April
No.
15th.
April 15th.
April 15th is a Wednesday.
Yeah.
So
We-
you,
we
said
norm-
it's gonna be a Tuesday.
Oh, I'm sorry. Our typical one is the second Wednesday, which would have been the 8th.
Uh-huh.
I'm not gonna be here, and maybe not, Caitlin might not have been here either. So, and I think it'd been kind of hard since they have school break for a lot of people. So we're moving it to
Okay.
April 15th, the third
All right.
Wednesday.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
All right,
All right. Well, let's
April 15th.
motion to adjourn.
Motion, who made the motion?
Oh
I did.
crap!
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, we did it.
You were